Welcome, one and all, to the Sunday Show After Dark, and the music is just over now.
That good. Welcome to that's such a hard cut.
Welcome to the Sunday Show After Dark. It's just the reality just set in that we're actually doing this, and all of a sudden the fun was gone. I'm your host, Forrest, Lord of the Valkais, and I am joined today by the charming and, may I say, handsome Jovan Bradley. How are you doing today?
We're good. Take me to dinner first. What's up, man? I'm chilling. Just got done with Jimmy over on his channel and skadooted myself right over here.
Lord help us. I was wondering, because the chat was saying, like, oh, it's a double Jovan show today. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody's got to do. I was just on with Justin from Deconstruction Zone over on the AXP. And I was like, oh, it's double Justin. He just did a show on his own, and now he's doing this. I just did that, and now I'm doing it. Everybody's just working overtime to try to free people from the bounds of religion. That's what we're doing. We're all working so hard to try to make this world better. And here we are now as a result of it on this show that you are now watching.
And I have something to say to you, Forrest.
Okay.
Birds are not dinosaurs. Anyway, you're
just trolling at this point. It's September 7th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is the best standard time, and lines are open. So before I explain to my dear friend why he's so very wrong, just know that this is a call-in show, and if you believe in gods or demons or angels, if you have problems with evolution or the age of the earth or trans people, if you have want to support Donald Trump and the MAGA movement as a whole, if you don't think that there's a genocide going on in Gaza, if you don't think that it's that bad of a thing to do mass deporting people, if you want to talk about the issues that people like Jovan and I make it a point to talk about, this is the show for you. Or if you just believe genuinely silly ass shit like that birds aren't dinosaurs, then you can call in too, and we'll discuss how, like, taxonomy and logic.
Birds are birds. Dinosaurs are dinosaurs.
He's just saying sedans are sedans and cars are cars. It's the dumbest way to speak, but he just does it for fun because, much like Erica, who likes to say niche, it's fun to be wrong sometimes, I guess, is what's happening.
Is a truck a car, Forrest?
A truck is a vehicle.
But it's not a car.
But it's not a car.
There you go. Birds aren't dinosaurs.
Yeah. And but here's the thing, though. What you have going on here is the situation of what's called nested hierarchies. I'm gonna fucking come to where are you, Florida?
Oh, I can finally ask you this question.
You already are, because you live in Florida. Yeah,
I can finally ask you this question. So I had like an hour-long conversation on my channel with someone because we were talking about, the necessary condition for a woman. And then we got into the necessary condition to be considered a human. And my response, coming from, I don't know biology in this sense, my knowledge of biology kind of stops at sexual development. So when we classify on a species level, I was under the understanding that it's not about a shared trait. It's about having X amount of shared traits versus having, like if humans share like 99 whatever % of their DNA. So that's why we're all classified as like Homo sapiens, because we're from a shared lineage and have X amount of shared DNA. Is this the case, or were we off? Neither me and the caller knew. So I was like, shit, I wonder if Forrest is available.
Pause. Can we get the banner up at the bottom? I want people to know that the number that they can call is 720-619-2288, or you can use the web link in the description to call us and talk about gods. Because we've had a few people call in, but not as many as we usually do. So there's that. Second thing is, it's okay. And I don't know if the audience heard that. I just heard our producer today just say something in my ear. But just so a couple things. Number one, is important to remember that like when we're talking about this, what qualifies as a species. Yeah, a lot of the times we're going to say, okay, so this group has X amount of shared traits, and they have Y amount of traits that are unique to that group. They're different than this other group over here. That's gonna be common parlance when we're talking about things like this. What we're talking about speciation. Second thing to remember is if you're talking about genetics and shit like that, you're gonna have a much harder time because like there are plenty of situations where like these elephants over here are significantly more closely related than these other things that we call all the same species, even though we separate these elephants. It's like shit like that happens quite a bit. So it's really hard to pin it down genetically. The third thing to remember is that there is no single definitive species concept. Usually people talk about reproduction. That was one that was made famous by Ernst Mayr, who said that if two populations either literally, factually, or plausibly, or possibly cannot reproduce to produce fertile offspring, we would call those different species. That's called the biological species concept. It is one of many concepts of how species work. There is no set definition for species because there's no literal thing called a species out there in biology. It's just a thing, a box.
That's okay.
Yeah, and then the fourth and most important thing is that what is a human is a shockingly difficult question, because there's two reasons for this. Number one is that we when you use the word human, it literally means anything in the genus Homo. So if you say humans have existed for 2.6-ish million years, that's true because that's when Homo habilis came about, and that's the first member of the Homo genus. If you say humans have been around for about 200,000 years, that is also true because that's when Homo sapiens came about, anatomically modern Homo sapiens at least. That's not counting in archaic Homo sapiens, which are not anatomically modern, but are technically our species, but go way the fuck back and have massive brow ridges and shit. And that's also not considering the fact that there is the real problem is that we just have too many goddamn fossils and too many goddamn bioanthropologists. And so there is massive debate over whether or not Homo habilis actually is the first species in the genus Homo, or if indeed certain members of Australopithecus should be considered Homo, or if Homo habilis should not be considered Homo, or if Homo rudolfensis is actually Homo habilis or is a different group, or this or that or the other thing, and where these lines actually lay.
I think they prefer to be called.
Argument.
I think they prefer to go by. I think they prefer to go by queer now, but I understand what you're saying.
That's if anything, that's homophobic on your part. Telling us that queer people are unevolved. Shame on you.
Wait, cancel Jovan. Whoa! It backfired. Now, my only other biology question that I was left with: when we all swim in the ocean, is that technically human soup?
So hold the fuck on. I'm gonna put
no way is this gonna send another rabbit hole. I love
human into Google, and here is a video that Erica and I made 2 years ago called "What is a Human?" is a surprisingly hard question. I just put that in the chat, and that was when I was at the in-between camera setups. You can see that I look even more sickly and pale than usual in that video. It's great, but it details this out quite a bit. Second thing, when we're talking about soup,
I thought you said this video detailed the soup thing. I was like, what are the odds you made a video on human soup?
Right? If you're asking, is the ocean human soup? You're asking, is the ocean soup to begin with, right? And there's an old meme that you have salt, water, vegetation, and meat all in a thing. Is that technically soup? The problem with your question, Jovan, is that if you go down this line, then soup no longer implies intention. And that's the only thing that has been keeping everything making sense for this long, is that soup is something you make on purpose. You don't accidentally soup. And if you accidentally soup because the ocean is soup because it has meat, salt, vegetation, and meat in it and all this stuff, then everything's fucking soup. Because everything you're surrounded by humidity at this moment. Is every puddle soup? Is this?
I think I can beat Forrest. I think I can finally beat Forrest on something. I think the first soup had to have been accidentally invented.
Elaborate.
Had to have been. What is soup? Soup is like typically some type of broth or water with just a bunch of shit thrown in. I bet somebody was cooking something in water. They were boiling something, and then they took out the main thing for the dish. Like maybe they were boiling some sort of chicken or beef dish, and then they looked in the pot and said, hey, this might taste good. They weren't intentionally making soup, but they still made a soup. And so if the first soup can be accidental, all soups can be. Most foods that we eat were accidents.
I'm down with that idea. What I'm not down with is the fact that literally everything is soup now. The whole world is soup.
Listen, that's my religion, is soup.
Is ramen, dry ramen noodles before you wet them and cook them, is that soup?
No, because they're not in a. No, because soup needs to be in a liquid.
Okay. Then
there's no soups. No soups are solids.
Every time you splash water on a thing, you are making soup. Is what we're saying.
No.
Is that the official position of the Line Network?
No, I would say it's not about putting water on a thing, it's about putting things into the liquid.
So broth fucking preempt soup?
Like if I cut up a bunch of carrots on my counter and I just dump broth over it, that's not soup. But if I put the broth in a pot and then I put the carrots in it, now you got soup.
What if you have the exact same amount of water in the pot as you do on the counter?
Nope, it's got to be in something. You put the soup in it, like the soup's got to be contained. It can't just be loose
that's
soup.
That's what I'm asking. Is there a quantity? It can't be loose soup. It's if I spill soup on the ground, it's still soup on the ground. You're saying you can't make soup. You can't say loose soup again. What I'm saying is
loose soup.
It sounds like the argument is that you can't make loose soup, not that you can't have loose soup.
Sometimes foods are about the delivery method.
Sometimes soup gets loose.
When does loose soup become? When is loose soup? Okay, okay. If I have soup and a drop of it spills out of the bowl and lands on the floor, I wouldn't call that drop of soup soup.
Why not? That's what it is.
It just feels dirty. It feels wrong. I wouldn't say that now there's soup.
What would you call it then? If you have a completed soup and you spill some of it, what is it now?
So wait, does soup have to be completed?
What does that even mean, first of all? And second of all, at exactly what point from the drop from the bowl to the ground does it stop being soup? Where's the soup change point?
And this chat is why trying to have necessary conditions in most things that have to do with biology is just doesn't work.
It's important.
Doesn't work. I'm just saying, soup. Loose soup.
720-619-2288 or
what are
use
our
the
topics tonight? What are we talking about?
Just call us to talk about gods, about LGBT, about MAGA, or if you think you can define soup, 720-619-2288, and or use the web link in the description and let's talk. Because this is the show that you signed up for, is what's happening now. With that, we already have a couple callers on the line, and they are both atheists. It looks like we have one theist who is currently in the screening room. We'll see how that goes and like where we can get from there. We have a couple people actually in the screening room, so we'll just kind of let those guys build. In the meantime, we're going to talk to Cloud, pronouns he, him, calling in from Scrunch. Sorry, I realized that we make clips out of these, and I can't say scrunchy cunt within the first 60 seconds of me saying the name. So I didn't say that. And we're going to say Scrunchy Krabs, who is an atheist who wants to talk about how to talk to his super religious black family members. Cloud, you're on the line with Forrest and Jovan, and I'm here to tell you about this. Jovan has nothing interesting to say about this. Let me
I'm not going to talk at
to
all.
Your black family members.
This is absolutely not a conversation for me.
This sounds great, Forrest. I'm sure you'll be way more help.
Yes.
The main thing is that to give like a brief thing, I recently got into like a big argument with my dad where he's like, a really huge proponent of that. Like every character, like black character on TV, is being made gay. So he thinks like they're trying to emasculate black men and trying to make them more effeminate so that they could be weaker and like show, I guess, portrayed as weaker. But it's just it's one of those things where they also are like they really believe in like black capitalism. Like, oh, capitalism is fine. It's just the fact that black people are at the head of it. So like every time I get into an argument with them, it's something about either A, trans people aren't humans, or B, they just don't exist. Gay people are a stain, and that we need to go back to a theocratic state that's led by black people. And what's weird is that his favorite author is James Baldwin. I don't know how to talk to people like that. So where you can be this disconnected and like how you think. And it's multiple people like that in my family.
What? Wait, what?
Yes, that's what I said. His favorite author is James Baldwin, but he also thinks gay people are like inferior. I don't know how to talk to people like that. So
wait, this is your father?
Give you something. Yes,
this
and
is your
also
dad?
other family members.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
Cloud, this is what you need to do. Have your dad call us right now.
I wish he's on vacation right now.
Yeah. I have so many questions, and I know they're not questions for you, but that's exactly. I want to talk to your dad. I want to know why femininity is weakness. I want to start there and deconstruct from that point. Like oh man.
It's just,
so
yeah. So that's what's going on. That was, if you had anything to actually give me to help talk to him about that.
I mean, you've explained that your dad has such a crazy level of cognitive dissonance that I don't even know how we move forward from that, right? Like, how do you move to the fact that you're James Baldwin, huh?
Yeah, that's why
I can't get over that.
I'm a big prolific social and political rights activist. Also, fuck the gays. Am I right? Like, what's happening?
Like, you're not gonna find a prominent black figure that was willing to do as much as James Baldwin was with men. But like, has your dad listened to James Baldwin speak before?
He has his books. He loves Giovanni's Room. It's like that's the main book he's been reading my entire life. Like, he loves that book. Like, and it's just I don't know like where the disconnect is to where you can have these opinions about gay people, about like literally saying, oh, they're trying to feminize black men and make them seem weak, and like, oh, over like the last 20 years, 80% of black representation on movie and on like TV has just been gay characters. But then
why does he think being gay? Why does he think being gay is a weakness?
He's a very like old school kind of, not necessarily black church. Like, he's a theist, but like he went through when he was younger. Like, when I was born, I'm 23. When I was born, he was in Islam, but before that, he was like a deep Baptist, and then he was a Hindu for a little while. He's religious, but he does lean more towards like the Christian side of things. But like, I guess for him, how he was raised, it's always that gay people are somehow inferior. Meanwhile, my grandmother is married to a woman. So again, I don't know, man.
Does it?
It just sounds like your dad doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah. So my question would be like my dad. Yeah. In my totally relevant experience with this, my dad was.
Tell us about your black dad, Forrest.
Yeah. My dad was an immigrant. He came from Austria, and he listened to Rush Limbaugh like it was the gospel. My dad was he lived in an apartment the size of a shoebox. He was an entertainer. He played piano for a living his whole life. He got paid under the table. I don't think he ever paid taxes. He never naturalized. He had a green card his whole life, and like he just never whatever. Yeah, get out of here, Jovan. It's the white man. But the whole thing, my dad was everything that Rush Limbaugh hated, and yet that was all he listened to and all he believed. And like, he just listened to whatever the radio station here in Tulsa that was all the conservative talk shows. That was what he had on all the time. He had it on in his apartment, literally at all hours forever. It was like in fucking 1984, the radio could never turn off. You know what I mean? And I remember asking him about, I was like, why do you listen to this gospel that hates you? Why do you listen to this thing? And I never got through to him on that. And I wish if he had died a little later in my life, maybe I would have been able to articulate a little bit better. But that's what it sounds like with this, is that I wonder if it would resonate with your dad at all. If he's such a fan of James Baldwin, that to like just grapple with the fact that homophobia fundamentally, and transphobia and misogyny and all this shit is fundamentally rooted in like white supremacist ideology. That the reason we have these concepts is because literally, like, early anthropology was started by literally Victorian men with literally Victorian views who would go out into cultures all around the world and be like, how do you run this village? And the man they're talking to would be like, oh, the woman does. This woman over here is actually in charge. And they'd be like, stop it. Don't be stupid. How do you run this village, man? And like, they would ignore and destroy evidence of homosexuality, of women in charge, of anything that went against their parochial Christian mindset. And now a lot of the hate and bigotry that we have towards LGBT communities and women in general is rooted in that supremacist hegemony that has been around for so long. And I wonder if thinking about it that way might help. I wonder if it would help my dad. I think about that constantly. Like maybe that's something that I don't know if that's a bridge that makes any sense. That's just where my brain is right away.
No,
I'm going to be honest. I actually think really quick, Cloud, and then I just think your dad actually just might be gay, like low key. It just sounds like your dad's closeted.
Maybe not gay. Definitely, maybe bi. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Bi icon, Cloud's dad.
What's weird? What's weird is that I definitely see where you're coming from, Forrest. Like trying to point out, like this is a thing that's deeply rooted in white supremacy and how it's been. I guess a lot of times they've completely changed actual history to represent what they viewed the world as. And sometimes he can understand that, and then other times when it's something that he doesn't agree with or something he holds like deeply like this, it's like just no. Like for the longest time, he thought that trans people didn't exist until 2012. Like he refused to see that there's different cultures that have trans people, that there's people that were researching trans people back in like Germany, I think in the early like 20s.
You need to get your dad to call us. Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like one of the arguments that I use when people say shit like that is like I'll bring up like African cultures and shit, and like how before colonialism they had completely different gender concepts. There's a book that I recommend on this show.
I have brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah. You can check this guy out. This is from Male Daughters and Female Husbands, Gender and Sex in African Society. And this is a massive ethnography of like what, at a time when gender and queer theory are viewed by some as being stuck in identity politics, this understanding study not only warns against the danger of projecting a very specific Western notion of difference onto other cultures, but calls into question the very concept of gender itself. And goes like that. That's just from the back of the book. You know what I mean? And the whole concept is like, hey, here's how gender roles in Africa pre-colonialism were totally different. Here's how they were used as gender has historically always been associated with socioeconomic status and power. Here's how this woman, needed to run this estate of her family. She was the only surviving member, so she became socially a man to be in a position of authority and power to do that. And like situations like that are just really neat and interesting and actually evidence-based from fucking actual anthropologists. Like maybe that if the guy likes reading, give him some books. And let's see if he likes them, you know? Unless he's going to go down the rabbit hole of, well, all academia is also wrong.
Not them there, the liberal books.
Yes.
I was able to get through to him with evolution because he staunchly denied that evolution existed. And so I was able to get a couple of books. Also, I got Evolution Before Dimensions. I remember one of your videos recommended that for us, and that helped. Great book.
That's a great book.
And that actually helped him break through to understand, like, and accept that this was a like actual thing. But then he went down the whole thing of like, okay, microevolution happens, but macroevolution doesn't. that's a whole other tangent.
Right.
But I might be able to get him with that, with giving him a book that he can actually be able to digest.
And yeah, that might be a thing. And also, Jovan, what you said, one time we had a caller on this channel talking about gender and sex, and I showed a map of gender diverse cultures that was from PBS, which you'll not be surprised to learn no longer exists because Trump took it down. But it was from PBS. They had this whole thing. It was a map of gender diverse cultures that was all interactive. You can go and learn about stuff. And one of the comments on that video I saw was, liberal maps don't prove anything.
We don't like them liberal maps. It's called the Gulf of America.
Leftist information from the people who brought you educated as an insult. We now have new information about how gender works.
Oh God.
But yeah, other than that, that's all I have. I'll definitely check out that book. I've never heard of that before, so I can definitely read it myself.
Yeah, check it out, man. It's really cool, and I used it in my sex and gender video a little bit, just as a couple of footnotes. But like, I wish you the best, and I agree with Jovan. Like, have your dad give us a shout sometime. We'd love to talk to him.
Please. If you can, Cloud. I don't know if you're in my Discord or if you are. If I don't know if Forrest has a Discord. If you're in it, find a way to get in touch with us. Because if you can get your dad on the line, me and Forrest will go live and talk to your dad at a scheduled time.
A dedicated show. I will do a dedicated show. The Jovan and Forrest in harsh debate with this fucker's dad. That'll be the title of the show.
I'll see if I can get him to. That would actually be something really funny to watch. But yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, I'll be as nice as I can. Just make sure you know what he knows what he's getting into is all.
yeah, definitely. All right, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cloud. Take
Cloud.
care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
James Baldwin. What?
You know, the man who said that trans people don't
famously gay. James Baldwin.
Yes, James Baldwin, who famously said, "I'm gay, that means I'm weak, like a woman." James Baldwin.
Unbelievable.
It is crazy because I see like a lot, and this isn't just a black thing. This is just in general. I see a lot of this cultural divide where it's like gayness and femininity are weakness. And I see a lot of these just old dudes who do tie it into this, for lack of a better word, identity politics. Of saying like, oh, there's all these gays around, all these transes around, and that makes me feel inferior because you're representing my kind as something weak. And it's like, just I genuinely, I can't wrap my head around that thought process.
The side against, and by the way, I apologize to anyone if I'm snacking, but I had like literally no time between the last show and this show, so I'm eating these Disney shortbread cookies.
Gay,
but the amount of anti-identity politics people who just use identity politics is just insane. Just admit our identities are important and they tie majorly into our political sides and stop worrying about it.
I love the argument when people talk about gender and they're like, oh, this is all this self-identification stuff. And like, I try to help them grapple with the fact that like literally all social identity relies on self-identification. How do you know if someone is actually Republican? What test is there to administer to tell if they are Republican? It's a self-identification thing. And two Republicans have different perspectives on what it means to be a Republican and what being a Republican feels like and shit like that, because it's a self-identity thing. Like it's all.
I'm just thinking of the scene from The Thing.
Self-ID.
I'm thinking of that scene from The Thing, the blood test scene, but for Republicans.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, look, your blood has some soy in it. You're not one of us."
I was gonna say, except the hot needle, except instead of a hot needle, it's a fucking book, and just the blood freaks out. Oh man. Amazing. We've got a few other calls on the line. Looks like lines are pretty full at this moment. However, they don't have to be. We're gonna jump into the next call pretty quickly. And if you calling in right now, if you think that, or if you out there in the audience think that you have a point that hasn't been made or should be made, this is your opportunity to call in and make it. I'm gonna quickly just fuck with this really quick. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Oh, that's wrong. I was gonna make this better.
Is that a
and I
spine?
can't. It's just where? Yes.
Did I just see a spine?
That over there. Yeah, it's a spine.
God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right next to the eyeball and the brain. I was gonna see. I just feel like my head's real big and stupid in this, as if it isn't generally. Okay, let's jump into the next call and see where it leads us. Let's talk to Chris. Pronouns he, him, calling in from Puerto Rico. Who wants to talk about Adam and Eve, the tree of good and evil, and all sorts of other things. Chris, you are on the line with Jovan and Forrest.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, perfect. By the way, about the soup thing, well, you guys were really missing the mark there. The real question should be, is cereal a soup? That's the real question.
Yes.
Now we're
no,
talking.
soup has to be hot. No, soup has to be hot.
There's
It has to be hot, then why is
Soup has to be hot.
gazpacho soup then?
It's not. It's gazpacho.
Then is gazpacho... No, you don't know about that?
I am literally looking it up right now, and there is a Wikipedia article list of cold soups, and
None of those
gazpacho
are
is
soups.
on there.
None
You're
of those
not
are soups.
soup.
You know what it is?
I
Do you know what it is, Forrest?
I got you.
No. Do you know what it is? When you have my type of autism, you just know when a thing is a thing or not a thing. And you just and hot soup has to be hot. That's just a
Facts don't care about
you
your
just know it when
Jovan. I don't. This is not. This makes no sense.
soup got to be hot. What we want? We go to Chris.
Yeah. Soup got him hot. And
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
now he's soup too.
Well, whatever. So, before we start speaking about theology, I wanted to tell you, Forrest, I appreciate I've been seeing your videos, and I appreciate your work regarding joke creation. I think that you do a good work against, well, I believe the worst arguments for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And also, I have noticed that I don't remember you ever addressing Kent Hovind. That would be extremely cool.
Yeah, Kent Hovind has made several videos about me. I have yet to reply because I don't really feel he's dying, both physically and like figuratively and literally. He's just going out, and like he's so irrelevant anymore. And I just don't feel the need to use my platform to prop up and give any more attention to some fucking outdated wife-beating racist who hasn't updated his shitty arguments in 20 fucking years. So for me, it's just not worth the time, but I may get around to it someday. The problem is right now I am in the process of earning yet another legitimate science degree from an accredited university, which is a process that Mr. Hovind is not too familiar with, but I assure you it is actually quite tasking, and I just don't want to take any time off for his dumbass.
Oh, yeah, I understand. It's very hard to get a degree when you don't go to a diploma mill, which is literally a trailer.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, okay. So whatever, the real deal, what I wanted to speak about was that. Okay, let me get quickly do something. Okay, perfect. I remember I was watching some of your videos in the line and atheist experience. And I remember one of your claims was on that why did Adam and Eve were culpable for eating the fruit if they didn't know what good and evil was. I am right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. What would be the argument there, if you can summarize it?
I guess the summary would be that my biggest problem with the Garden of Eden story is that it was a test of obedience, not a test of morality. Adam and Eve were literally born yesterday. They had not eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so they did not know what good and evil were. All they had was an edict. They had a commandment not to touch this tree. And when they ate from that tree, because God put it in the garden next to them, then they were been punished forever, with women especially being punished. Men are punished because we are sinful creatures that can go to hell now. Women have that, and also childbirth is painful, and also they are subservient to men. That's the extra punishment for women that makes no fucking sense. And so any parent or anybody who's ever even worked in childcare or education, any halfway intelligent person that knows how human beings work would know that if you tell a child, don't touch this, and then leave them alone in the room with it, they're going to touch it. And so God, first of all, made this dumbass tree. Second of all, put it next to these people who were literally born yesterday. Then also, God is all knowing. He supposedly knew this was going to happen anyway and let it happen in the first place. He tells the first lie in existence by telling them they're going to die if they eat from the tree. Just over and over and over, this whole story is God fucking up over and over and making stupid mistakes and then punishing all of humanity, not for doing something wrong, but for being disobedient. And that to me is not a moral story. It's just, it's an establishment of the character of God as a stupid, narcissistic bully who wants everybody to behave in a way that he wants them to behave. Otherwise, he'll punish them ridiculously. It's setting up the character as an asshole. That's for me, what I see this story as. I know I said I was going to summarize, and I gave you a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I noticed that. So, okay. Let's start to something. You say that they were like children, right? Well, that's interesting because, well, at least as far as I've been taught, well, actually I do think that Adam and Eve were not children. My tradition at least does hold that they had infused knowledge and knew they had infused knowledge, so they were not like children. They knew the essences of all things.
Okay. Does
Yeah, but
does it say that?
They were essentially
Sorry, go
children.
ahead,
They
go on.
didn't have any experience. Essentially they would have to be like children. They didn't have any experience with like anything. How old? Like what?
Right.
Like what is the age? Like they were that we estimate they ate the fruit. It wasn't that long from coming into existence to eating the fruit. And we know that they didn't know things because God had to tell them things. They at least had no knowledge of good and evil, which I think is kind of like paramount to being an adult,
Yeah, what I think is that when God made them, He essentially infused all relevant knowledge needed to have dominion and take care of the garden. As I think that somebody said that they were supposed to take care of the garden. So He infused.
So let's assume that's true. The problem is they still don't know what right or wrong is. All they know is how to follow orders. And that
no,
my
they
criticism
knew good and evil.
How did they? If they did know good and evil, then why couldn't they eat from the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil? That's what the tree was supposed to do. Taught them what good and evil was.
I don't think so. I think that regarding the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I think that this refers to the legal authority to determine what is good and evil. I think that it has something more to do that they had two options: to choose God or to don't. And I think that
they didn't have two options though.
Just to be clear, I have Genesis chapter 2 verse 17 open, and I just dropped a goddamn bookmark, whatever. But I've got Genesis chapter 2 verse 17 open here, and it says, God is talking about like what's going on in the garden. He's telling Adam, and he says, the Lord commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. For the day that you eat from it, you shall surely die. And so this, number one, is a lie. They don't die the same day. And number two, it clearly says that this is the tree that gives them the knowledge of good and evil. So by any definition you're giving me, if they have a sense of right or wrong, all that right or wrong really boils down to is, are they obeying God? And that's what I'm trying to get at, is that this is not a morality test. This is an obedience test. Do you choose God, or do you choose yourself? Do you choose whatever you want to do? It's just asking, are you going to obey orders without any explanation, without knowing why? And I don't think anybody should do that.
I want to just address, too, with something, Chris, that you said. They didn't have a choice to pick something else. Adam and Eve did not have a choice. They were always going to eat the fruit. There was no universe conceived that existed or could possibly exist where they didn't eat the fruit. So it's just whenever we talk about, at least about the quote unquote first sin, it just seems weird, in my opinion, that God set up this unwinnable test and then it's like, hey, yo, I'm going to punish you for failing a test that you couldn't pass.
Interesting. Okay, about Forrest, that this was a lie. I will simply say that when he says, on the very day you shall die, this refers to spiritual death. Like, they will lose sanctifying grace.
I've heard that a lot, and the problem is, number one, that isn't how it's used in the book. The word, the Hebrew word or whatever it is that is used for this is the same word that means death in every other circumstance. Dan McClellan put out a video about this not too long ago where he actually broke down the etymology of the word and showed that it's the same way the word death is used all throughout the Bible when it means somebody's like stabbed with a sword. Like it means the same thing. And second of all, like that goes against what happens next, where all the serpent ever says is, you won't die. God knows that the day you eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like gods, knowing good and evil. That's chapter 3, verse 4 and 5. So the serpent says you won't die, you will just know what good and evil is. So the way that's phrased, that doesn't mean anything to do with spiritual death. That would, if they had a spiritual death, he wouldn't need that clarification. There would be no reason to speak that way. So I think that is what we would call a post hoc rationalization that apologists do to try to make it make sense. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's very clear that's not what God meant in that passage. And even if it was, then he was just shitty with his language.
That seems to be a bit of a weird point, because even today, when we speak of being like spiritually dead, we use the exact same word that we use to normal death. It's not like we have a separate word for that.
You say we have separate words for what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I mean that, for example, when we say that somebody is spiritually dead, we use the exact same word like for really dead, which is just dead.
But the problem is Adam and Eve didn't spiritually die either, because when they die, Adam and Eve Adam at least goes to heaven. So where was the spiritual death?
Later. Spiritual death refers to the loss of sanctifying grace, and they both lose it at the fall.
Yes, but when Adam dies, he gains that back.
He also lives for 800 years. So, like, what are we talking about here in any case? Like, they still live for a ridiculously long time. They still get to go to heaven. They all that's happening is, like, I've heard this said, like, this from this moment on, they're now mortal. But, like, even that, it's just, it's just trying to make this make sense in a way that it never did before. You know what I mean? It's trying to add context that simply isn't in the text. The book doesn't say spiritual death. It doesn't say anything about that. You're just doing the thing that a lot of Christians do, which is to say, well, the Bible technically didn't say this, so that must have been what it meant. And, like, that's just not good enough, I'm afraid.
That's a solid criticism. Well, I personally don't believe in sola scriptura, which may be an issue there. From my understanding, this is what the tradition from the early church has believed, and for me that also has, well, not the same but similar authority as the Bible itself.
Can I just, let me just ask you, if what God meant because God tell Adam and Eve understand a concept of things dying, they would have to, because they eat animals in the Garden of Eden. So they would have to. There are animals that they eat that were alive at one point and dead at one point, right? So if God knows that Adam and Eve have a concept of death, why wouldn't he very specifically say, you're going to die a spiritual death? Why wouldn't he specify? Especially if God sees all and knows all and knows that eventually we're going to be debating this, he would know that if he had just said spiritual death, nobody would be debating his word in the book.
It also and there are people like Answers in Genesis. There are people like Answers in Genesis who say that they didn't eat any animals, that everything was vegetarian at that time. But plants also would then be dying when they're being eaten. So there's no way to get around death if you're a living thing. Like if you're an animal, death is a necessary part of your life. I just want to get out ahead of that comment because I know that comment's coming.
Yeah, I really don't know about the Answers in Genesis thing, but for now I will say that you guys are making some good points and are making me think about this.
Yeah.
This is a pretty complicated issue. Yeah?
I would also encourage you, Chris, like just if we're gonna try to make this story make sense, it's also important to point out that Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 are completely different stories as well. It's argued that Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 2 is the older one, and it has this more of a like kind of all at once creation, and God is just like this guy that's kind of just walking around trying to make things make sense, and like creation isn't immediately good and perfect, and he has to kind of tweak it and fine tune it, and the order of operations is totally different than it is in Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 is a later adaptation to make God more in line with the kind of Christian mentality of this all-important, all-knowing, all-powerful being that gets everything right all at once. And so you have a completely different set of stories. So I would challenge you while you're thinking about this, why are we trying to make this one verse, 2:17? Why are we trying to make that one verse make sense when if you just look at the page right before it, it's a completely different story that doesn't even line up with this? The least of your problem is trying to make Genesis 2:17 make sense. Your much bigger problem is trying to make Genesis chapter 1 fit with Genesis chapter 2 and make either of those fit with reality. So I think you've got your work cut out for you. Even if you can make us, even if I agreed with you about the interpretation of verse 17 there, we don't agree on the rest, and the rest is a much scarier problem for Christianity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually already knew about the whole deal of Genesis chapter 2 being possibly earlier than Genesis chapter 1, and Genesis chapter 2 being a more primitive vision of God, more anthropomorphic, with him like walking up in here and all of that. And then Genesis chapter 1 is like a more transcendent version of God, which just speaks things into existence, while the chapter 2 one like creates stuff out of other stuff. And I already knew about that. And my study Bible says on that.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think you're asking good questions, and the points you're bringing up to us are the kind of apologetics that we get all the time. And I really appreciate you taking the time to hear us out when we kind of give you some answers to them. I hope you call us back with more questions sometime. I hope that we were helpful, and I hope that you keep asking questions and let us know if we can be more helpful.
Yeah, maybe one day when I study this more deeply, I can give better answers.
Yeah, I would love that. Chris, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're going to move on to the next call, but go ahead.
Unfortunately, I have another point. Can I speak about that before?
Yeah, as long as it's very fast, because we have other people waiting.
Okay. Another one of your comments was whether something can happen against God's will, and the easy answer will be to distinguish between God's antecedent will, which is what God generally wants, and God's consequent will, which is what God does in consideration of the creators. So you can violate God's antecedent will, but not his consequent will.
I don't know if I agree with that either, if I'm understanding it properly.
Why? Okay, imagine analogy. Imagine a judge. You're a judge, okay? And you want all men in your city, all humans to live happily. That's your antecedent will. All humans live happily. Then there comes a criminal who murdered someone, and so you sentence him to life in prison. That's your consequence.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
That's more or less how it works.
I might have just misunderstood.
but-
I've got
Okay,
a
so
kind of a
basically-
crackly connection.
Wait. I understand. Just real quick. None of this works if you have a being that can see the future. If you have if
Why would not
I
it?
have something, let me explain. If I have something that I know is going to be stolen, like let's say I have a criminal who's going to come in and steal a diamond, and I know for a fact 100% certain this diamond is going to be stolen from this area on this day at this time, and I leave the diamond there, I didn't really care about that diamond. Otherwise, I would have moved the diamond. So if God knew that Adam and Eve were going to eat from the tree, he knew the snake was going to show up to convince them to eat from the tree. Why not A, move the tree, or B, don't have the snake show up? He knew it was going to happen and he let it happen
Good
because
question.
he wanted it to happen.
That's a good question. This really gets into the most fine data of like predestination and divine foreknowledge. I don't know if I'm ready to answer that for now, but I will try to think
An all-powerful,
that maybe
all-seeing,
give a
all-knowing being, everything that happens in the universe would have to be to the will of that being. It would just have to be.
at some degree, I think that will be right, but not in the accepting sense. I think you should mean that. I mean, we'll agree that like at some degree, God has decreed absolutely everything that happens, but not everything is by His active decree. Some things is just by His permissive decree.
Yeah, but if he didn't want it to happen, he would stop it.
If He did not want it to happen, He will stop it.
Yeah, he's all powerful. If he really didn't want it to happen, if it was something that would make him upset or mad, he could just stop it.
That's the issue. If you have an all powerful and all knowing God, the buck stops with him. Everything is ultimately his fault, no matter what. So like you can say, well, we need free will. Okay, why didn't he make a universe where you didn't have the temptation in the first place? You can say, oh, well, he needed this and that to whatever other justification. He could have made a universe where those justifications weren't necessary. It is logically possible, super unlikely, but logically possible to make a universe which is set up in such a way that every single person makes the perfectly right choice every single time, totally of their own free will. Nobody ever sins. And he didn't make that universe. And he also already knows before you're even born whether or not you're going to sin and go to hell, and he made you anyway. Inevitably, the responsibility is always with him. Unless if you want to say he's not all-knowing or he's not all-powerful, then he gets out of that loop. But if he's all-knowing and all-powerful, every bad thing that happens must have happened on purpose.
That's actually a good point. And it's probably one of the most difficult arguments to respond. I will admit that.
Yeah. Anyway, Chris, we've got some other folks waiting. Our lines are full, so we're going to move on. But I really appreciate you calling in and talking to us today. I hope you call back sometime.
Yes, thank you.
Take care, Chris. Bye-bye.
We should do a sub reminder for people.
A sub reminder. Oh yeah, hey, subscribe.
Our hosting duties.
Anyway, we've got some other calls on the line. Let's talk to do you have the call screen up? Because we got some good ones.
Yeah. Who do you?
I'm looking at the leftmost number. I'm looking at the leftmost number. I think that 13 and 12 sound like fun, but I also, keeping in tradition, we could talk to either 6, 8, or 10.
Am I high that I don't see a 13?
13. I said 13. 15. Pardon
I think
me,
12
15,
looks. 12 looks. Oh, 15. Yeah. 12 looks the most. Oh, wait. 12 looks the most fun, but I say we do 12 and then 15.
Okay. Well,
15 looks the second most fun.
Okay, we're gonna put a theist in the middle of those because it's good for the show. But then I agree. Let's talk to Wayne. Pronouns he him. Calling in from Caterpillar Artists, who says that trans women shouldn't be in women's sports. Wayne, you're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. How you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Never had a bad day.
Yeah, I just think on average males have a physical advantage. So I think if you're making a league, you have to go by the averages. So I think they should absolutely be separate.
So let's break that down from a couple of different angles. Number
Go
one,
ahead.
what about sports in which there isn't like that consideration? Like, what about like, say, chess or something? Should we still not have?
No, chess is fine. Just the physical ones. That's my only gripe on that. But like chess or like checkers or anything, yeah.
Okay.
It's just because fundamentally of the physical male advantage. That's it.
And fundamentally, just out of curiosity, what would be wrong with having totally open, everybody can compete, and if it just so happens that the rankings have a bimodal distribution with most females over here and most males over there and a little bit of overlap in the middle, would that be such a bad thing? Just out of curiosity.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think you would see males dominating.
Okay.
So I don't think it's separated to women.
I have other things, but I'm going to hand it to Jovan for a minute because I genuinely don't give a shit about sports. But I'm going to let Jovan take it for a minute, and I have other things, but I'm going to jump in with them later on, just because it would be pointless for me to go on mine right now.
So Wayne, if I understand correctly, the reason why, because you want to separate sports male and female, and the reason why you want to do that is because you believe that there is some inherent advantage that males have. So because of this, you want to bar males from competing against females because of this biological advantage. So if run a thought experiment with me here real quick.
Well, it's not it's just true.
Okay, just run this thought experiment.
I don't believe that males are stronger than women. They just are. On average, they just are. Okay. You're a biologist too, right?
Run this,
Forrest,
Wayne. Run this, Wayne.
Yeah,
run a
ahead,
thought experiment with me.
There's a delay.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a delay when I was still in the middle of talking, but okay. If I have somebody, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you interrupting me? My bad, Wayne. I won't do it again. If I have somebody who is female versus another female, but this first female, we'll call her female A, is competing, and female A, their body is able to produce testosterone at the same level of men, or we'll say of males, build muscle mass in the same way as a male's body. Their body is of the same stature of a typical male body, so it's much larger and broader. They're able they have a bone density more similar to male bodies. Would this person be allowed to compete against other females?
Yeah, sure.
Then you don't actually care about the advantage, so there really is no reason to argue it.
Well, until that starts happening, then we can talk. But that's not how it is.
It has happened.
Males still have an advantage.
That happens. That's like the entire point of sports is that does happen.
When
you don't actually care, Wayne, you don't actually care that there's an advantage because when the advantage shows up and it's someone that's not male, you don't care about that advantage anymore. You just care about separating sports based on sex. This is why I asked you if the reason why you cared about it is because of that advantage or not. Because if it was, you should care whenever an advantage like that shows itself. So if we say would you say that you think if you have a female who has a higher level of testosterone, she shouldn't be allowed to box against other females? Or do all these other, you should say, no, she shouldn't because she has the thing that I think is an advantage. But you don't believe this.
Yeah, but I don't know, that's kind of a weird way to put it.
Well,
I'm
the testing your logic.
That's
all it's doing.
That's the whole, and I can't stress enough. I can't stress enough how little I give a shit about sports, but it boggles my mind that what Jovan laid out here is the point of sports, right? Michael Phelps has just bizarre biological variations that set him apart from all other swimmers. His muscles don't fatigue the same way that the average human does. His feet are wildly big. He's got these specific, I would call them anomalies in this case,
right?
That
and I
set
think you
him
could be with the male.
Right, but the question is, why is he not in
Because
some
he's a
other
male.
category? Why is he not in some other distinct categories of
Wait,
males like
Wayne
that?
just did.
He has a
Wayne
natural
just did
advantage
it. Wayne just did
against
it.
other people. Yeah, I know.
Wayne
I'm going to
just
get to
Wayne
it in a
just
minute.
you. All you care
What
about, Wayne, is that he's a male. That's it. You don't actually care about the advantages. So when I ask you, why shouldn't males compete with females? It's not because there's some advantage there. You just don't think they should be doing it. Because if it was the case that it's because of
No,
a
I think it's because
biological
it's unfair
advantage,
to women.
in order to remain, Wayne, I told you I wasn't gonna let you interrupt me interrupting you. So we're gonna keep talking. When it comes to the reason, right? You can say I don't think X and Y should go together. There must be a reason for that, and then that reason has to remain consistent, right? So if it is the case that there are going to be some males or some females who have a biological advantage, well, since we've already known that because of biological advantages, you want to separate a category, you should want to separate it fully on a whole lot of different examples than just sex. But you don't, because it is just about separating the sexes. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
You also kind of you showed your hand there, whether you meant to or not, when you just said it's unfair to women. We're not talking about women. We're talking about males and females. So the fact that you're conflating the two in this argument kind of tips like where the actual argument is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see it, but sure.
What about trans men in men's sports? Do you think that's fair?
Well, they don't have an advantage, so they can. I mean, they're going to lose, but they can do whatever they want.
They don't have an advantage, but they are going to lose, which means that you do think that they have a disadvantage, so you don't actually care about it being fair.
If someone transitioned and went into the NBA or whatever example, they're going to lose. That the advantage is inherently born male. That's the whole point.
Then you don't care about having an unfair advantage. If you're okay with someone going into this with a disadvantage,
I think it should be fair. It should be fair in the way that you are trying to win.
You don't. Okay, so you think that people are getting into these sports intending to lose?
Well, that you don't really see men going into the trans women or men going into the men's sports, trans men going into men's sports, because they would lose. And most people
you don't
win.
see that because you don't look for it. I see it.
I do.
Forrest, do you see it?
I do see it. You don't. It's not a thing. Maybe a couple people.
Yes,
but
it is. Wait. Hold on. How many trans women athletes are there that are competing in sports?
I don't know the exact number.
It's 11.
Couple.
It's 11.
At least on the college, on the collegiate level.
I think it should be 0.
Yeah, in the NCAA, it's 11. And so, if there were 11 trans men, would it balance out, or is this just the blending of sexism and homophobia together that we're worried about here?
I'm not sexist or homophobic at all. This is strictly about fairness in sports.
Wayne, you have to stop saying it's about fairness because it's not. Because I asked you if you have a female,
that it's not.
Wayne, if you have a female who has the same biological advantages that a male might have, should she be allowed to compete? You said yes. That means it's not actually about fairness because you don't care about the fairness. You just care about splitting it by sexes.
I understand that, but that's one niche example that hardly ever happens. I'm talking about average, and you can't just.
It doesn't matter. It shows that you're logically inconsistent. It doesn't matter if it doesn't happen.
It
could never happen ever. It could never happen ever. It would still show that you're logically inconsistent.
Also, if we're talking about averages and you're going to use averages to dismiss these things, then we shouldn't be talking about trans people at all because trans athletes are like 0.1% of athletes. If we're talking about averages, this whole thing makes no sense.
On average, males have a physical advantage.
When was the last trans woman? When's the last trans woman that came up and won a gold medal in something?
I don't care how many medals they won. They shouldn't be beating women at all. It's a man.
There it is. So it's not about fairness. You just don't think men and women should compete against each other in sports. Can we
And
please
also,
stop? Like,
you just-
stop acting like
Yeah,
it's a
everybody
safe thing?
everybody thinks that.
Also,
Everybody thinks
I just
that.
want to be
That's why
they
clear.
don't.
Just a minute ago, you got a hair up your ass when I mentioned transphobia, and you're like, "Oh no, I'm not sexist or homophobic or anything." And then you're going to come in here and say that's a man, so they can't. So you are denying trans
wait,
identities
hold on,
in your
hold on.
argument.
How does it make me transphobic to say what they are? That doesn't mean I disrespect them or think differently of them. They are a
Wayne,
man.
I'm gonna
I'm
take
still going
this-
to call them what they want.
Wait, Wayne, I'm gonna first of all, I don't do presuppositions here. The debate would be on if they're men or if they're women. Me and Forrest would disagree with you on there. So you can say, well, they are men. That doesn't mean anything in a debate stage, right?
They're fucking
Secondly,
obviously not.
I'm going to walk you through something real quick. If I said to Forrest, it just hypothetically, hey Forrest, in order for something to be soup, it must be hot. But there are cold soups. Then clearly the hotness of the soup doesn't actually matter to whether it's a soup or not. So if you tell me the reason why they shouldn't compete is because of fairness, but I point out to you somebody that's not fair and you say they should still be allowed to compete, then it's not actually about fairness. You're just using fairness as a scapegoat for your blatant transphobia and for the fact that you think men and women should be separate in sports. Now you can say, hey, typically there is going to be some level of fairness when it comes to like a typical man competing against a typical woman, depending on what sporting event it's going to be. But like I would say, I don't really care about that because I just want to see the best people compete. If the best people competing are like women or female, great, put them in. If the best people competing are male or men, great, put them in. I just want to see the most entertaining match.
Something?
You
okay, I get that. I see your point, but if we were to go your way, so say you take the NFL for example, right? Should we separate the NFL by advantage too? Like, should the most ripped dude in the NFL, he might have an advantage over a little guy, but should he not even be in the NFL? Like, how far down that rabbit hole do you go to separate?
It's not even something you can. I don't think you can look at this.
Isn't that
like
again?
Team sport.
I maybe I'm wrong because I just genuinely cannot give less of a shit about sports. But like, isn't that the?
Yeah, I know
whole
you guys
point
don't like
of,
sports. I get it, but
isn't that the whole
I watch football
point
every
of,
year.
divisions
I love sports.
Where you start off at the bottom, and if you're better than the people at the bottom, you move up a rank, and if you're better than those people, you move up a rank, and that's the whole point. So if you have a trans person, man or woman, and they go in and they're better than these people, they'll be in the next class of people, and if they're better than those people, then move up, and eventually you'll have a distribution, and maybe it will indeed look where you have most men over here and most women over there, and who fucking knows? That's why I started with that at the beginning, and you said it doesn't matter. And I agree it doesn't fucking matter. But at the end of the day, you've shown time and time again throughout the course of this call, Wayne, that you don't know the difference between women's and females, or maybe you do and you just slipped up. You don't know the difference between trans women and men, or maybe you do and you just don't slip up. It's just you're showing over and over that you just have a problem with trans people in general, maybe a problem with women in general, and you're taking it out on sports as this scapegoat to try to make a logical argument. It doesn't fucking work.
I don't have a problem with trans people. I really don't. I think it's
you just disrespect their very
existence.
You
can't have
literally called
conversations
trans
without
women
being
men. That means you have a problem with it.
That's
no,
literally
I don't know
what that
what
how
is.
does that mean I have a problem? I'm just stating the truth.
I don't have a problem with motorcycles. I just think they suck. What? Come on,
Did I say
bro.
that? Wait, did I say? Hold on. Did I say they suck?
Let me ask you a question, Wayne.
You denied their identity, Wayne. You denied the reality of their existence. What is that?
When you
How are you
jump
going to act
onto
like
a
that's just a
call-in
chill
show,
thing to do?
When did I deny their existence?
When you jump, Wayne, hold on, Wayne. When you jump onto a call-in show with almost 1,800 people watching, and you go, trans women are men, what do you think that does? What do you think you're doing with that? Do you think you're being nice to trans people? Do you think that you are like the bastion of trans friendliness, or like?
No, I'm telling
you don't know
the
what
truth
is, Wayne. You don't
How
know
do
what
I not
truth
know
is.
what truth
Wayne.
is? You don't know.
Okay,
what
ready?
Wayne.
Hold on. Ready? Wait,
Yeah.
Forrest. I want to just quickly. I just want to quickly see if Wayne knows what truth is. Wayne,
Sure.
what makes a woman? Like, what is a woman, Wayne?
Say that again.
What's a woman?
having the correct chromosomes, and
Beautiful.
in the
Love
nature
that.
of
What are those?
being able
What are those
to have a
correct
womb.
chromosomes?
Blew it.
I love that. What are those correct chromosomes?
XY.
There you have it.
There you
have
go.
it, folks.
Wait, you know what? We
That's-
lost. Me and Forrest lost. Wayne won.
Yeah, women have XY chromosomes. That's what it is. We learned it from Wayne. Everybody.
Or XX. I don't
Uh,
know. You get the point, though.
No, it doesn't matter at all. You're right. Who cares? What even is a chromosome, right? Who gives a fuck? It's just fucking
Well, you should
stupid.
know, right? You're a biologist.
I do, and I also know what a woman is, unlike you, Wayne. So here's
Well,
the thing,
what's
man.
a woman? What's a woman? What's a
it's-
woman? The schema?
Yeah, here's
right?
the thing, man. You say like stevia, like the sweetener?
No. Wayne watches me. I can tell.
Oh,
he
schema.
tried to throw out schema in a sentence.
I don't
Didn't
use
really
the
work
word
for him.
schema in my definition because it tends to confuse transphobes too much.
Well,
Yeah,
oh
no,
my God,
I
with the
would throw
transphobe
up.
thing.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how whenever you act transphobic, people tend to use that word and it pisses you off. Here's the thing. I know what sex and gender are because yes, I am a biologist, and you keep blowing it on those terms throughout this call and then pretending to care about them. If you cared about them, you might actually take the time to learn them. And what's bothering
Well, I
to
think
me
if you cared about
is
it, you'd
that
tell them the
I
truth.
know. Oh no, Wayne, I will tell you, but I'm just being very clear about this up front. Before I tell you the definition of the word woman, before I tell you the difference between sex and gender, what's going to happen, because this is what always happens with folks like you, is that I'm going to give you this definition, I'm going to give you this explanation, and I'm going to explain to you that this is the way that it is understood in biology, anthropology and psychology and sociology. This is what we see from like the World Health Organization. This is what we see from every major medical association in the country. This is what's literally in introductory biology textbooks. I'm going to give you this information and you're going to turn around and say, nah, because at the end of the day, trans women's is just men's. And that's where we're going to end the call.
No, I
So,
think a
if
trans
you
I
can
think a
promise
trans
me-
woman is a trans woman.
If you can, yes, which is a woman. So if
Then
you
why you
Love
can,
put
if you
trans
can
on it?
guarantee me,
It's
in
an
the sa- for the-
adjective, Wayne.
I put trans on trans woman for the exact reason that I would say black woman or tall woman or gay woman. It's an adjective. So here's
an
what's going to
adjective
happen.
An adjective that describes what?
A type of woman.
Their condition was what type of woman they are.
Well,
Are
how
they
would
black?
how would you know?
Are
How
they
the hell
gay?
could you know
Are
what a
they
woman is?
tall, Or are they
How
trans?
could you have any idea what? How could you have any idea what a woman is if you are born a man? That's like almost like misogynistic in a way.
Because they're not
think
Wait,
born
you know
men.
what it is,
whoa,
like-
hold on, Forrest, stop. Because Wayne just admitted he doesn't know what a woman is. Because you were born a man, right? So how would you
Oh
know
my
what a
God.
woman is, Wayne?
I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I know what a woman is.
What is it?
Oh goodness.
Wait, do you think that all women go through the same shared experience, Wayne?
No,
Oh, okay. So
but
then,
they all have overlapping
point.
similarities that us men could never know.
like what? What are those overlapping similarities?
A period, having a kid, bearing a child.
Okay.
Oh,
What about
every woman
what about
knows
the
that?
millions of
Every woman
what about
has
the
a period?
millions of women who've never had a period? What about them? So what are they?
I mean, if it's in their nature, I still think they might not. They might have like a physical disadvantage or something.
So this isn't an issue of biology. This is an issue of prophecy. Is that they're supposed to be having periods? That's what it says in the ancient scrolls. And therefore, these women who are born without the ability to have a period or just have some other situation going on that restricts it, or that have a hysterectomy at a young age for whatever reason, all these women just not real. They're not real women. They don't understand.
That's not what I said, but okay.
No, but it is
That's
as
what you're
ridiculous as what you said.
Wayne,
So in your
sometimes
way,
it's
then
not
we should
about
just-
the words you say, it's about what your argument ends up meaning. And when you say women must have some sort of shared experience, and we ask you what that experience is, and you say periods, what you're implying is that people who don't have periods that might be female aren't women. That's what you're implying. Do you believe that, Wayne? Or do you realize how what you said was silly?
No, I think that if you don't have a period and you're born with the chromosomes and it's in your nature to have a period, then you're a woman.
What does in your nature mean?
What'd you say?
What does in your nature to have a period mean? What does in your nature mean?
Born with the ability to do something, even if you can't due to like whatever.
So then these people we're talking about, it's not in their nature to have a period.
Wait, in your nature means you're born with the ability to do something, even if you can't do that something?
Those are words. Those are all words.
Wayne,
credit where it's
how
due.
how do you put that sentence together and think it makes sense? I'm genuinely concerned for you, bro.
I'm concerned for you guys too.
Yeah, Wayne,
Wait,
I'm going to go back to what I said a minute ago.
Forrest, don't. Forrest, no. We can't skip past this.
Ahead.
This is the craziest thing he said all call.
Go ahead.
To be of the nature of something is to be born with the ability to do something unless you can't.
Congratulations, Wayne. It is in your nature to do literally everything.
I don't even understand. I'm so broken right now.
Okay. You guys, Jesus Christ.
Don't take
I know it's really frustrating, right? When you don't know how to define words and you just hate trans people. It's weird.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
You're right. I'm the asshole, Wayne. I'm the asshole here because I know what words mean and I like to stick to it.
You know what I mean by in the nature of something.
Inherent don't. That's why we ask.
I genuinely don't, because the way you're using those words makes no fucking sense.
Inherent features. Does that work? I don't know.
No, that doesn't help. What does that mean?
What about the millions of females that wouldn't have these inherent features?
You could just say that's if you gave half a shit about what you were saying beyond just trying to have a problem with trans women, you would actually care to look up what we're talking about here. What do you mean anatomically female? Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about female reproductive structures? Are you talking about internal genitalia, external genitalia? What developmental pathway are we talking about here? Do you want to get specific with it, or do you have a vague generality we're trying to go with? What kind of wrong would you like to be today, Wayne? Because people who actually study this shit can tell you why this makes no fucking sense.
So what is a woman then to you guys?
So I'm going to go back to my initial question here. When I tell you, are you going to believe it, or are you just going to hand wave it away because it doesn't fit your narrative? Or are you at least going to try to grapple with actual science?
But also, Wayne, you already know what I think a woman is because you've said you've watched and heard what definition I use.
And my definition is pretty close.
And I remember you said something about like a schema or something, right?
Forrest can give his definition first.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give it yet. I'm gonna make sure that we're on the same page. Wayne, when I tell you what is in actual fucking biology textbooks and I give you a functional definition that matches with modern biology, are you going to grapple with that definition, or are you going to hand wave it away and say that it doesn't fit your narrative? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna grapple. with it.
Groovy. Hey, let's dig into it then.
You both say
first of all, you understand, Wayne, before I give this definition, you do understand, of course, that it is the total academic consensus that sex and gender are different things. They are not synonymous, right?
Yes.
Great. So now, when we talk about gender, when we talk about woman, a woman is a person, an adult human, whose gender identity aligns with the cultural, social, behavioral, and or physical traits that they associate with femininity. That's a good functional definition for woman that actually matches our understanding of biology and sociology.
Well, how would you know what femininity is if you're a woman, if you're not a woman?
Because I just said their gender
Or if you're not
identity
female, I
aligns
should
with
say.
as I just said, their gender identity aligns with these traits that they associate with femininity. So in the same way
Well, what
that
if
I
I associate with
guarantee.
black people? Am I black?
So did you notice how no part of that description that I just gave had anything to do with race?
Well,
That's
you
why.
can't talk about
That's
the
why
race
that doesn't
thing
make
because
any
you
sense.
know I'm right about that.
No,
you
I
don't
can't
have-
because you're
I
very
associate with being
race-
black. Am I black?
Wayne,
Okay, Wayne,
you don't
Wayne,
have the
Wayne.
understanding of sociology to have this conversation, and you've proven this
No,
in that you
we're gonna get
completely
to it.
ignored Forrest's
Wayne.
definition.
Yeah, Wayne, gender and race are both social constructs. They are different things entirely. So in the same way that I can't identify with, or when you pull up blackness, because race is a social construct, that simply isn't the same thing. It does not apply in the same way. It's a
Why not?
lazy cop-out answer.
Race is external, gender is internal. That's how come.
Race is
an external classification.
Race is associated with ethnicity and external factors that we can identify with just arbitrarily. Gender is associated with internal identity and is an analogous to, or I shouldn't say analogous to, it is associated with biological sex, although it is not the same thing. It's associated with sex. So you have two completely different concepts here. Other social constructs include money and justice. I can't identify as rich and I can't identify as fair, right? Those are social constructs that have different rules, just like every social construct has different rules. Similarly, my wallet and my boots are both made of leather. That doesn't mean it makes any sense to put my feet in my wallet and walk around because they're different concepts, different things that are used for different reasons. So what you've done here, like I said, this is a lazy cop-out rather than doing what you said you were going to do, which is grappling with the reality that I just gave you. So let's go back to the actual definition that I gave, Wayne. What's
You
the
can
problem with the
identify as a
actual
woman
definition
even though
that I
you were
gave?
born a male.
So because sex and gender are different things, which you agreed to, then being male or female has nothing to do with being a man or a woman. Those are different concepts. They're touching, they're associated, but they're not the same thing, and one doesn't necessarily predict the other. This is what gender incongruence is all about.
Right.
Do you want to
Yeah,
take it
that's
from
great,
somebody? So since you said you would actually grapple with it, how about you do what you said you were going to do? Grapple with what I just said. Actually dig into it. What are your problems, questions, comments, concerns with this?
I don't think if you're born male, you'll ever know what it's like to be a woman. It's impossible.
So you're grappling with the way that you're talking about this. I gave you a
I don't
definition.
think you can grapple
that's
with that.
backed by
You
science.
can't grapple with that.
I have. That's how I came up with the definition that I just gave you. Also, I just want to throw out there, the World Health Organization, this is from their website on gender and health. Gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, a man, a girl, and a boy, as well as the relationships with each other. Gender interacts with, but is different than sex, which refers to the biological and physiological characteristics of males, females, and intersex persons. Gender and sex are related but different to gender identity. They go on and on and on to explain how these things need not coincide and how they work in different ways. You want me to pull up a biology textbook as well that's going to say the same thing? I'm happy to. But at the end of the day, I've actually studied this and actually did grapple with it. That's how I came up with the definition that I gave you, and I'm able to talk about this stuff. You trying to deal with this is nuh-uh. That's your argument. Now, again, Wayne, would you like to actually try thinking? Or do you want to just hang up like a little bitch, like you already did?
Wayne hung up.
Yep. And just to be clear, that's what I said was going to happen. That's why I said at the beginning, when I give you this definition, are you going to try to really reason with it? Or are you just going to say, nuh-uh, And Wayne was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to do it. And then where did we get to? But nuh-uh, though, because you can't know what it's like to be a woman if you're a man. Neato. Great, Wayne.
I can't get
Well done.
over. I can't get over you have the ability to do something unless you can't.
It's because
That's
women
the
have
funniest
XY
shit.
chromosomes, and that means that they have a natural ability to have a period unless they don't, and that makes them women. Brilliant thinking, Wayne.
I think what we have learned is that Wayne, like most transphobes, are unable. Are what they do is they have a thought in their brains, which is trans women are not women, and instead of coming up to a conclusion based on research, they do research to meet their conclusion. And Wayne is a perfect example of that.
It's just so frustrating when someone just genuinely decides not to use their brain. And like, here's the thing, like, you don't have to agree with me. If you disagree with my definition and you want to articulate why, let's talk. That's what we're here for. That's the point of the show. But if at the end of the day, the discussion is just cuz I don't know where we're going. Especially when we started, he was like, yes, I agree. Gender and sex are different things. And then males can't be women. What the fuck, man? Like, just, I dare you to be consistent with yourself. I love that meme of like, it's usually about vaccines, but it's like, real scientific research, and it's a bunch of people like in a lab, like working, and people reading books and like, arguing in papers and all this stuff. And then it's like anti-vax research, or in this case, transphobe research, and it's a person on the toilet with their phone. Like, that's what it is. Wayne has some
Research,
feelings, and he thinks those feelings are
where
facts.
we're going.
Hard
we
time.
don't need research.
Oh man!
Someone who's an artist draw me and Forrest as Doc and Marty. Forrest is Doc and I'm Marty.
Yes,
from Back to the Future. Someone do it. Fan art.
I would love that.
I need to.
I would love that fan art.
Bring up. You're bringing up a theist, right?
Yes.
I gotta. While you bring that theist up, I need to go make a peanut butter sandwich. Because if I don't eat something more than just these cookies, I might pass out.
Well, if you're ordering things, if you're doing that, I'm gonna order some sushi while we're on the next call.
Sick.
Let's talk. By the way, Alea Shauna Silverbow in the chat. It's in a transphobe's nature to accept transgender people, except when they can't. It's true. It's very true. Let's talk to Lindsay for a second, calling in from Clever Orangutans, who is a theist who's having a hard time with the evolution of humans and would like some clarification. Lindsay, you are on the line with Forrest, and only Forrest. How are you doing today?
Howdy. I'm pretty good. So, yeah, the other caller made me think about other things, but I'll get to that later. I called a little while ago and talked about the evolution of horseshoe crabs, and that's where you learned that horseshoe crabs are not crabs. They are more related to spiders.
I'm still excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, with the evolutionary theory that our common ancestor died out, and we have apes and humans, and we are directly linked to that millions and millions of years ago, then, okay, I get that, I guess. It's a little bit hard, because I was raised Christian, and so it's like, God created everything, and that was my answer for why things were the way they were. Anyway, deconstructed the Old Testament, basically thinking like, oh yeah, these are myths that tell people how it works. Just like how we used to think that bowling balls were made of, like, the old myth of like, oh yeah, the giants are in the sky and they're making thunder because they're rolling their bowling pins.
Right.
So anyway, but I still have like I guess maybe not dogmatic thinking, but like diminutive thinking, I guess, and where I, like, for example, with the keyhole limpet, they have eyes, but it's not, quote unquote, as good as our eyes, but it works for the niche that they're in. So, like, how do I rephrase that and just say, like, they work well for the state they're in? Like, nothing, like, we are not diminutive over either people or animals. Like, that's white supremacy and stuff like that. And I probably have a little bit of remnants of that because it happens. But yeah, just in general, like, how do I get the dogmatic thinking or curtail it, I guess?
Yeah. So, let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. So this is the way Darwin put it about the eyes in particular. You're probably familiar with this quote. To suppose that the eye, with all of its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus, blah, 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 could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree. Have you ever heard that quote before?
Yeah. And then it goes on to say, even though I don't know, I still understand the process. Yeah.
Exactly. And so he says, yet reason tells me that if numerous gradations from a simple and imperfect eye to one complex and perfect can be shown to exist, each grade being useful to its possessor, as is certainly the case. If further variation, the eye ever varies and variations can be inherited, as likewise certainly is the case, as if these variations should be useful to any animal under changing conditions of life, the difficulty in believing that a perfect and complex eye could be formed by natural selection, though insuperable by our imagination, cannot be considered real. And so this, the way he says it is just that it is useful to its bearer. It's something that is useful to that animal that has it. And we see that a lot when we look at different things like, take, for example, pick your favorite fish, right? The the fins that it has are useful for what it does. And the way that it's very often said when we talk about this is we'll say, like, look, this thing's claws are perfectly designed for ripping flesh, right? Or this thing's tail is perfectly designed for balance. And that's just slipping in that kind of dogmatic thinking. But you could just easily say, this thing has, long toes that are perfectly adapted for hanging on to branches. And that is that's the way you should be saying it. So if you're talking about anything like that, just change out the word for it's well adapted for this. You can say exactly how you were saying it. This works for this species. It's exactly what this species needs. And if the environment changes, so will this trait. It's just important to remember that a lot of the time when we're talking in biology, it is really relative. If we say something is beneficial, deleterious, totally relative statement depending on the conditions that or the environment that organism is in.
Gotcha.
Do you have a specific thing that you want to try to dig into? Oh, you're fine. I appreciate you.
I guess when I was younger, we used to sing this song, like, God's fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much he cares. And then he had fun with the platypus. How did the platypus, if I chalk in, okay, it's evolved, how, like, didn't scientists think that the platypus was, like, a mistake or something at first? Because it couldn't, like,
I thought it was
they couldn't imagine. Yeah, that's right. So how did we figure out the platypus, you evolved with venom? That's the thing that I was like, wait, and it has venom? What? Yeah. I guess I can understand the other stuff. Yeah.
We have venomous. There's a slow loris is the only venomous primate. Think about that. And so, like, so there's a couple of things there. And yeah, you're right. Early zoologists, when somebody brought in a platypus, they thought it was a joke. They're like, you just fucking sewed a duckbill onto a beaver, you idiot. What are you doing?
Exactly.
What's cooler, what's important, what makes it less scary, what demystifies this guy quite a bit is to look at its relationship to other mammals. So 220 million years ago, right? All mammals are monotreme. All mammals lay eggs. All mammals are like the platypus in a lot more ways than you'd imagine. The platypus, in a lot of ways, is this ancestral state. And then all these other mammals that we have today broke off and went another direction. So you've got now the platypus and the echidna are the only the only mammals that still lay eggs. They have milk patches rather than nipples. Like these are like really, really ancestral basal mammals. But that means that all the other mammals you can think about, evolutionarily speaking, every lion, koala, cheetah, human, sloth, you name it, they're the weirdos. They're the strange ones because they're the ones out here giving live birth shit. And if you really want to get weird about it, compare them to marsupials, because kangaroos, wallabies, and all these other marsupials. Marsupials are as weird to eutherians like you and me as they are with fucking as monotremes are to either one of us. These are three distinctive pathways for us to give birth. Do we do it by eggs, or do we carry the baby to term, or do we shit out a fucking half-formed fetus jelly bean that has to crawl into a pouch and attach to a nipple so hard that if you tried to remove it, you'd rip its skull out of its head? What is that? What does that mean?
Goodness, I didn't.
It's crazy.
I didn't realize that about the kangaroo. Oh, goodness gracious! No wonder the mothers kick so hard.
It's horrific, Lindsay. And you know what else? Fucking what's crazy cool about kangaroos? They can pause their pregnancy. If they're pregnant and they get into a stressful situation, they don't abort the baby. They can just put a pause on it and it just stops development right there. And that thing just lives for as many months as it needs to live in that exact developmental stage until they are ready to continue developing their young. Neat as fuck. Lord, I wish we could do that.
Why didn't we get that?
Right?
Like, I don't even want to have children,
because
and
we
I'm
were
like,
made in
why
God's
can't we
image, guys. Those were made in
we were made in God's image. And God's an
Thank
asshole.
you. There's my contribution
so,
for this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Butterflies can taste with their feet. But like that what I'm saying is like there's
me too,
when
they
you
ain't
look
special.
at any one of these things, when you look at any one of these traits as compared to humans, it sounds wild and nutty and totally hard to explain and justify. But when you compare it to the rest of the animal kingdom, it's just another weird fucking thing that animals do. And when you compare it to the rest of life, it's mundane. And so it's really important when you're looking at evolution, especially coming from like a theistic perspective, or like coming from leaving a Christian narrative and coming into a scientific one. It's really important to be very, very careful that you don't do what we call teleology or orthogenesis, where like evolution has like this hierarchy or this goal. You haven't done that in this call, but it's super common. And also that you don't compare stuff to humans and expect to get a clean answer. It just is not right. You've got to look at every individual species in the context of its own evolutionary story. And when you do that, nothing is any weirder than humans are.
Gotcha. Okay.
You think they just fell out of coconut tree?
Coconuts.
Yeah.
Why are they
anyway,
so hard for the shell? Yeah.
It's
because
they
question...
they live in an island environment and they're going to get saturated, and so they don't need a. It's there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Go on. What are you saying?
It's okay. I'm like, I have ADHD, and I'm just like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and all my other questions. But anyway, yeah, that makes sense. So with the other caller, Wayne, who was transphobic, I was just wondering then, would he believe disabled people are disabled?
If they have the natural ability to walk and just can't for whatever reason, right? What does that mean?
No, because he doesn't believe in adjectives.
Yeah,
right. He also doesn't believe in adjectives.
I mean, I'm trying not to be dehumanizing, but that's a very odd. It's an odd. If you don't believe in adjectives, it's a very odd way of looking at the world. So
That's the thing about transphobes, though. They just genuinely don't think about anything that they say. And then when you call them out on it, they get all pissy and emotional and claim that you are relying on emotion because that's what they do. And it's like talking to fucking when I do videos about answers in Genesis and like they claim that science is dogmatic. They're so used
Oh God,
they're so
God.
used to dogmatic thinking that they assume everybody else does that. Transphobes are so used to stupid, thoughtless, emotional reasoning, they assume everybody else does it too, and then they judge us for it. It sucks.
Oh man,
Anyway,
we just need more nuance, and I don't know where to get it. I don't know how to.
Yeah, welcome to the
talk.
internet. We don't get that here.
we don't get nuance here on the internet. Okay.
No, we do not.
I just meant in
Lindsay,
conversation.
it's right. It's been real. I really appreciate you calling in and asking questions. You've got great questions, and I love it. So feel free to call us again sometime if you have any more science stuff that you want to talk about.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care, Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
She's super nice. Unfortunately, she is too goddamn pleasant and agreeable for this show. We need some fire in here. We've got somebody who wanted to talk directly to you. Do you want to take this person next?
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Hell yeah. Let's talk to Bert. Pronouns he, him, calling in from Aluminum Lizards, who wants to talk to Jovan about MAGA. Bert, you're on the line with Jovan and unfortunately Forrest. How are you today?
Good. How are y'all doing?
I'm awesome, man.
You're live, Bert.
Was this a
Hello?
short
Sorry,
call?
are y'all
What
there?
happened? Bert, are you there? Yes.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not watching while I'm on the phone. So my bad. So yeah, I was calling to. I was chasing kind of Jovan from the earlier show he was on, but also interested in speaking about theism. But I was concerned. He said that MAGA was dangerous to children, dangerous to minority groups, and there was a third reason MAGA was dangerous. And so I was wondering what his proof of those points was.
Oh yeah, the fact that under an administration in which the deficit rises and poor people will be receiving less money, these groups will be the ones most targeted and most harmed by these policy changes.
Well, so, that's not. So at surface
not
level,
what?
that's not incorrect, but they're not. That doesn't make MAGA any more dangerous for children or minority groups than any other political group that is.
Well, if we look
it's our
at
people could.
That's literally.
if we look at the
Well, so
if we look at the lower and
MAGA,
middle class, they didn't shrink as much under the Democrats. So then, yeah, that's literally how we decide politics. Is we look at two political parties and we decide who's going to be the best for these groups.
Right, and it depends on what statistics you're judging worse off by. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm sorry, I don't want to interject.
And I respect.
I know this is your call, but I just it bothers me, Bert, that we're just saying that yes, everybody can be accused of causing some sort of harm, but we can say that MAGA's harm is demonstrably worse. So how is it not fair for him to say that?
So, for me, from my perspective, looking at both parties as equally evil, I would say that the opposite side of MAGA contends for, or maybe y'all don't agree with this. Is it fair to agree that MAGA is anti-abortion, and the antithesis to MAGA is pro-abortion? Do y'all agree with that or no?
I wouldn't say abortion. I would say choice. The antithesis to MAGA are people that believe that every individual should have their own choice.
Yeah, in the spirit that the question is offered, yes, sure.
Okay, so for a black-pilled person as myself, I would say that, the views of pro-choice are disproportionately dangerous to minority children and children, period. I mean, just the pro-choice
I would say that
movement
they're not dangerous to children at all.
Well,
say
and
they're
that
not dangerous
and
to
then we get
children
into the
at all.
wish-wash of what's a kid, what's a baby, what's a human, what's not. But
Well, yes, because I
you know,
don't
those
pump
are
presuppositions into these
those
debate topics.
those
So like
clumps of
when
cells
you're
would have
wait,
been
wait,
children.
Bert,
Mhm.
yeah, would have been, but are not because they were aborted. So I would have been. Do I care about would have been children? No, not really. What about that? What
Hey,
like,
Bert.
if you want to get all technical into it? What about all the kids whose parents only had them because they were able to have abortions in the first place, so they could actually have another kid down the line? Those kids wouldn't be here.
Bert, did
It's
you
a
just
non
say
it's a
a
non-argument.
black-pilled person as yourself as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had
Black-pilled
to
in
double
terms
check
of
and
party.
Google that.
Yes, black-pilled in terms
Okay,
of
'cause
political affiliations.
I just Googled it to double check I wasn't crazy, because I've only ever heard that
Yes.
term used to when someone is describing themselves as an incel who is
No,
given up, is
no,
accepting the
it's a
futility that we live in a feminist society, and
no. That's the no. It's a term also being used for political affiliation as well.
so you're saying
As of
by
recent,
saying that you are saying that you just reject all political parties, or you don't think that any of them are useful.
I don't
Is that what
believe
we're saying?
I don't believe that there is a political party that is good versus the other one being evil. I believe that they are both serving a corporatocracy, and they are both
Okay.
serving.
Can we agree?
I don't.
Can we agree that one? I'm willing to agree with you that both of them suck. Can we agree that one is demonstrably, objectively, like exponentially worse than the other?
I really don't see that. I don't. As standing
So you don't
standing
see.
as a
Let's
as
pick
in the
one
middle
issue then.
and looking at both. Huh?
So we have
Go ahead.
one party, one movement, one group here that is housing
Mhm.
white supremacists, neo-Nazis, calling for the eradication of trans people, calling for the eradication of gay people, who is currently undergoing, massive economic and social disruption in the country that is hurting millions of folks. And you have this other one over here that is very corporate and has a lot of criticism, but isn't doing those things and wants equality for all of these groups, or at least says they do. You're telling me you can't tell the difference between these two groups and you think they're both equally bad?
Well, see, the problem is that what you just described is your opinion. None of the things you
That's
described
the
are the
things that they
stated
say.
mission of are the stated mission of those groups. That's
They
not.
are.
You're stating your opinion
they
of what
are.
they are. And so that's
No,
where you
I'm
got to.
stating
If you want to have an
what
actually unbiased
hold on.
opinion,
what
you have
individuals.
to remove yourself
I'm
further,
stating what
and you have to look at it.
individuals in those groups have actually said out loud.
But if you go for that, I mean, you could pick, dude. If you go that route, you could say that. Well, you could end up where I am, where you're black-pilled about it.
Okay.
Neither party's good.
Okay.
You can't go with what a minority of either group would say.
Let me just break something. Let me just break something down for you real quick.
You can't paint the whole group with what the minority of one group thinks.
Or I'm not going to paint anything. Let me just break something down for you. The conservative right, as of right now, is being propped up by people like Peter Thiel, people like I can't remember the other.
You're not going to get me to defend the right, dude. I'm not.
No,
I'm not
listen to me.
right.
Listen to me, and I'm not asking you to defend anything, Bert.
You're trying to make me have an argument that I haven't made with you.
Holy shit, Bert!
Maybe if you listen to what he said, you'll know what he's actually asking you.
We can get off topic as long as you want.
Forrest asked you specifically if you could accept that one side is worse than the other, and you said no, you can't accept that. Which means now the conversation that me and Forrest are having is to try to point out to you that one side. Wait, I think that broccoli and Brussels sprouts are both bad, but I think Brussels sprouts are worse than broccoli. So if I had to choose what was going to be on my plate at dinner, and I had to have either Brussels sprouts or broccoli, I'm going to choose broccoli. You get what the conversation is?
Well, yes, I do. Y'all are trying to force me to pick one side over the other.
I didn't force you to pick something.
No, we're not.
Well, no,
I didn't force you to pick something.
No, but that's the question being presented is for me to choose.
No, it isn't.
Which one, for me to show preference to one. Okay, then yes, one can be horrible. One can be worse than the other. One can be worse than the other.
If you have the conversation, Bert, if you listen to what we're
I said it.
actually
I answered.
saying, not
One
what
can be
you
worse than
assume
the
we're
other.
saying,
No,
we're
I
not
listened to you.
asking
One
can,
can
we're
be worse
asking
than the other.
is
Okay.
No,
one
one
worse
is-
Let me
than the
ask you,
other?
Bert.
I'm sure if
do
you were able to
Black
tally it up,
Americans,
yes,
Bert,
one is worse
Bert,
than the other.
Bert,
Uh-huh.
Bert, let me just ask you: do Black Americans have better outcomes under Democratic or Republican administrations?
That depends on your definition of better outcome. What does that mean?
Great.
Oh yeah, and
Do
maybe
we do
people
better
just like to be
economically?
fucked over, you know?
Do we do better? Do we do better education wise? Do we do better when it comes to being targeted by police violence? Under which administration do Black Americans have better outcomes for all these things?
I don't know. And I never
Democrat.
said that I knew.
No,
Okay.
we know you don't, Bert.
So why are you
Jesus
arguing it
Christ.
with me?
You, Bert, because
He
you
isn't.
came in wanting to talk about the specific thing I said when I was on with Jimmy earlier, which was that MAGA is dangerous to minority groups, that under MAGA, minority groups are going to suffer more.
Yeah. You're right.
So I'm pointing
You're right.
out to you
But- So
that is a true statement.
Well, it's a true statement if by worse off, it's by those parameters, sure. But for me,
What other parameters should I wanna
parameters
look
should
at?
we use, Wirt?
the opportunity to even be here, that's one of that I look at, because one party
Okay.
is pushing for the elimination of people before they even have a chance. I mean, to me, that's
Okay.
really horrible.
So,
There's no
no,
way.
they're not, Bert. And at
I mean,
the
to
end
me,
of the
that's
day,
worse than taking
you
away
please tell me-
free money from them.
that's
Hey,
so
Bert, what's the
fucking
leading
just so
cause
lazy.
of abortions in the United States? What's the leading cause of abortions?
The leading cause of abortions?
Yep.
It would be the doctors performing them.
No. What is the
You mean
reason?
the leading cause of the choice?
The leading
Or the choice
reason
to have an
that's
abortion?
what cause would mean. That was what cause would mean. So I'm looking for a cause.
No, cause
What
of
is the
abortion
leading
would be
reason?
what causes the child to be murdered.
Bert,
You're saying what
Bert,
causes
nobody
you're
really
really
finds
asking
this cute. Bert,
what
nobody finds this cute.
You have to be
What is
logical,
the leading cause of
and you have to
abortion in the
say what
United
you
States?
mean. So do you mean
What
what
is
is
the leading cause of
of
abortions
the
in the United
choice
States?
to have an abortion?
Because
the leading cause
Bert, even
of
if
abortions
Bert,
taking place.
even if we're gonna Bert, even if we're gonna take the way you interpret that question as the way the question is asked,
Well,
you would
do you
still
want
be
me to
wrong
assume
because
what
the
you mean,
pill
or
is
do you
the
want me to
leading
take you
cause.
for
So the
what you're
doctors aren't
saying?
forcing the pill down somebody's
You-
throat. So I'm gonna ask you again, Bert. What is the leading cause of abortion in the United States? You're not cute. We don't find it cute. Just answer the
I'm not
question
trying
so
to
we
be
can
cute.
move on with the conversation.
I'm trying to answer the question that you asked, and I'm not trying to assume what you mean. I'm not trying to assume your meaning.
Okay. What is the? I'll treat you like you're a 5-year-old, Bert.
Well, I mean, ask
What is the
me the
number
question that
one
you're trying to ask.
reason?
That's all.
What is the number one reason why people who are pregnant seek out abortions?
I don't know. Inconvenience.
Okay, great.
To,
Incorrect. And I knew you. It's funny that you care so much about this, but don't know the answer. The reason is for financial hardships. 41% of all abortions in the United States are due to financial hardships. Now, under which administration, typically Democratic or Republican, do people face more financial hardships?
well, that depends on what you when you say financial hardships, are you including
Under which
money given
It
to
is
them?
literally
Are you
impossible.
hold on.
Right. My God.
No, are you
dude.
including?
Bert?
Do you mean a person's? Do you mean is it worse for them in their ability to go work and earn something? Or are you saying is it worse for them?
Under which
just as a
political
total
party do
financially?
people tend to have higher median wages? Under which political party do people tend to be more employed? Under which political party do people tend to have more cash in savings? Under which political party do people tend to have more wealth? Which party?
I don't know. I could give you my anecdotal experience of myself, but I don't know.
Then I will
what's for
just tell you
everyone
the
else.
non-anecdotal experience. It's under Democratic politicians and Democratic parties. Do we see higher median wages, especially real wages? Do we see more employment? Do we see higher spending by the average American? So if I were to say, hey, I want abortions to be lowered, and I know the way we lower abortions is by making sure people have more financial freedom so they can actually feel that they can afford going through a pregnancy. And I know that that's the biggest reason people have abortions. What I would say to do is that we put people into power, into office. We're going to make sure that your average American can afford a pregnancy. So it seems like you only care on the surface because you don't actually care about the causation of any of the things you care about. Like you go, well, I care about this abortion thing. You don't really seem to. You seem to want to virtue signal about the abortion. But I don't really care about your purity testing us right now when you're going, but look at you're letting these kids die, blah, blah, blah. I don't really give a shit about the virtue signaling, friend. Because if you really cared, you would have actually looked at, there's no way. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you interrupting me.
Hold on.
You just go ahead and talk.
That's one of your favorite lines. I'm sorry. I'll shut up and let you go on your diatribe some more. Go ahead.
Spell diatribe.
No, it's just that you didn't fucking address anything he said. You just once again assumed what he was saying and had an argument that no one was having.
No, y'all started the argument no one was having. I've told you I'm black-pilled. I think both parties suck completely. And
right,
yes,
but
to answer your
I'm
question,
trying to get you to,
I think that one party can be
relevant.
worse than the other for sure.
We're trying to get across
if y'all
to you,
are trying to get people
that one, Bert, we're trying to get across to you that one party is worse than the other, which is the conflict that you had with Jovan at the very beginning when you were saying, how is it justified for you to say that MAGA is dangerous to children? And he said, here are some ways. And you said, yeah, but lots of people do that. And we're just trying to get across. We can agree on both parties sucking. We can agree on all sorts of things. But demonstrably, factually, in every metric, including metrics that clearly matter to you, Republicans, especially MAGA, are significantly worse.
Well, I don't feel that way because
I also think if you can't spell diatribe, we shouldn't continue this conversation. So spell diatribe.
I was going to get into, we were talking about fucking abortion. I was going to bring up the fact that other things that decrease abortion rates, sex education decreases abortion rates, empowerment of women decreases abortion rates, access to contraceptives decreases abortion rates, education decreases abortion rates. All of these things that Republicans, especially MAGA, are staunchly against. The one thing that doesn't decrease abortion rates is banning abortions. That decreases the rates of safe abortions, not abortions. So if you really cared about decreasing abortions,
does allowing men to compete against women, does that empower women?
Holy
and there we have
shit,
it,
bro.
You want to talk to us about bringing up irrelevant shit?
You waited, hold on. You waited an hour and 40 or 30, whatever minutes to have a conversation with us, but to specifically say, you specifically said that you wanted to talk to me about this stance. First of all, almost every time I've started talking, you started chiming in with some stupid shit. Secondly, you've done nothing but fucking try to virtue signal this entire fucking call about, I believe both parties are really bad, but one is worse and it's the one that does abortions. And then when we talk about abortions, you don't give a fuck. You just go right to, well, but if it's about women empowerment, what about trans women? Holy shit, dog. I gotta be so honest. Now this might be because I have been streaming since like 2:00 today, but you take the cake as the most, you know what? Nothing I say here will be kind. So I'm gonna let Forrest be my, what's the opposite of an anger interpreter? That's what Forrest is going to be for me. The opposite of an anger interpreter.
Yes.
Because goddamn, bro, you're just rage baiting at this point.
Yeah, I'm not rage baiting at all.
Lazy.
I've been nothing but.
It's just fucking lazy.
I haven't sworn at you guys. I haven't called you anything. I haven't called you names. I've been nothing but respectful.
That's what it means to be kind and generous. No, Bert, what you're being is just fucking lazy. Over and over, you're just being lazy.
No.
And that's the problem.
No, I'm not.
Is that
but when I do try to speak, Jovan tells me I'm interrupting. I called.
Well, it's only when you try to speak over him.
I mean, I can listen.
It's only when you try to speak over him, and when you consistently interrupt to make an argument that's totally different than what we're actually trying to say to you. So, like, if you want, effort to learn about politics a little bit more and learn about trans people a little bit more and learn about abortion a little bit more, maybe you should go dig up into those things, because right now, all you've shown us for the past 18 miserable minutes is that you don't actually give a shit about any of this. You just want to be the edgy person on Reddit saying that all the parties are bad and none of them are good, and I'm the only one who knows what's really going on. It's just fucking lazy.
Well, hold
Actually,
on.
all
Isn't that
parties
your
are
whole
bad.
thing? Even the guys even the people that call in and agree with you guys, you shit all over them. Isn't that exactly what your persona is? You're a contrarian.
Didn't we
and
just,
now-
didn't
now
we
we're having
just
a conversation
Forrest? Am I
about that.
crazy, or
No,
didn't we just talk
you-
to somebody that we didn't shit all over?
Yes,
Or am I
there was
high?
one-
Actually,
yes,
if
one
you remember,
person,
the
but
call directly
I've heard
behind
y'all-
this, and as well as many other ones where even when we have disagreements, we have respectful disagreements. I remember a call where someone called in and said a bunch of really hateful transphobic shit because they were asking questions saying, I don't know anything about gender, and this is what I'm hearing. Please help me understand this. And we had a great conversation and walked away agreeing more than we disagreed. And it was awesome. I remember that off the top of my fucking dome because it happens so often. But you are so desperate
so
to
you-
paint a picture of something
No.
that fits your narrative that you're not grappling with
I'm
reality.
not desperate at all. Okay.
Here's
So
here's
to you,
here's
being
what
respectful
no,
is
Bert,
only
no, stop.
the only
Bert,
way to be
stop.
respectful is to come and
Bert.
say, I don't know anything. Please teach me a
Bert,
wise one.
no. Here, okay,
Is
Bert,
that
I need you
just
to listen to me, and I need you
genuinely-
to, I need you to.
Is
You
that
guys-
even
wait, no, hold
is
on,
that
hold
even
on,
close
hold
to
on.
what I just
I'm going to
said?
pray for you guys.
Hold on.
Bert, is
shut
that
up.
even
Listen.
close to what I just said, or is that what you wanted me to say?
No, he's
This is
not
what I'm talking.
listening.
You're
No,
Listen.
fucking lazy.
Okay, listen, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be so upfront here. First and foremost, I match
be so
energies.
upfront.
The energy I'm Bert, I'm going to mute you. I promise you. Swear to God. My finger is holding over the trigger. First and foremost, I match energies. If you come in with some fuck shit energy, you get some fuck shit energy. Now, fuck shit energy isn't just, well, I didn't swear at you, and look at me just being here. When we're talking about one topic, and you go to, well, but you let trans women compete in sports, that's some fuck shit energy. So you're going to get some fuck shit energy back. When I'm trying to talk to you, and all I hear is you chiming in every 3 seconds, that's fuck shit energy. You gonna get fuck shit energy back. Now, if you were to chime in with like a correction and we're like, oh, Jovan, sorry, but you were just wrong about this real quick. I'd be like, oh, okay, my bad, blah, 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 and then move on. But you don't do that. You chime in to contend with my arguments by saying shit that is untrue. Like, well, I don't know the answer to this, and I just think all political parties are bad, when we know that the case is that right now, one party is worse than the other. And instead of like listening to us tell you how, when you yourself have admitted that you just kind of only have anecdotal evidence on all of this shit, and that the metric that you go off of is just, well, but can you be here? Whereas our metrics are economically stable, like, you know, job numbers, wage numbers, things like that. That's fuck shit energy.
Mortality.
So you're gonna get fuck shit energy back. I hate to be that guy, Bert, but like, I don't know if this is just how you are without Ernie, but please find him, because this shit is annoying as fuck, dog.
Yeah, it's just fucking lazy whenever we're trying to talk about this stuff and you keep saying, well, it depends on what you mean by like success and economic stability. Just, you know what the fuck we're talking about. And then you're going to bring up trans people out of fucking nowhere when we're talking about like actually empowering and protecting women, when we're talking about reducing abortion rates, which is what you are pretending to care about. It's just fucking lazy. It's just diverting to some other bullshit buzzword talking point to fill in the gap where thinking should be. So, Bert, I'm going to move on to somebody who's serious. Shove your prayers all the way up your ass, and hope you call back sometime whenever you grow a spine and a brain to match. Bye-bye. Now watch him go bitch on X about how they hung up on me before I could fucking respond.
Like, I just don't, I don't think people realize we know what dishonest people are without them having to be assholes. You could be the nicest person ever on the phone, but like, it's pretty obvious when I say, hey, what's the number one cause of abortion? And they go, doctors performing them. I'm like, okay, you're just here looking for dunks and clips. I don't give a fuck. Bye.
Yep. Some Charlie Kirk ass shit up in here. Let's talk.
It means little
next.
baby.
It means a little human. Fucking God, that
Means
guy's the
little
worst.
human.
It's the worst. Did you see that fucking idiot talking about? What was it? It was something about like humans. We know that a fetus is a human because it goes through this one stage in fetal development, and forgot that literally all mammals do that. And it's like you're fucking just so fucking worthless with this argument. Let's
That's why
talk
whenever somebody's like fetus just means baby human, I'm like fetus just means baby anything, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
It just is a developing thing. Let's talk to for a second.
I want to fetus.
Yeah, me too. Let's talk to Opal English, pronouns they and them, calling in from Little Apples, who wants to know, does God lie in Genesis? Opal English, you are on the line with Forrest and Jovan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, love?
Never had a bad day.
Better now that the last caller's gone. We're doing better.
Look, I called in for the argument you were having in Genesis earlier. Can I just say to my brother in Christ that you just spoke to, there is absolutely no scripture anywhere that ever supports the pro-life stance, ever.
It's so lame, and like I don't know, man. It sucks that wasn't it 60 years ago that like the evangelicals and the Catholics especially were super pro-life because it's all about bodily autonomy and taking into all these things and equality and shit. And now here we are in the stupidest timeline.
This is the
stupidest timeline. Oh yeah.
So what were you asking? You said, does God lie in Genesis? Is that what you were asking about? Is there a particular place you want to talk about?
I was calling in to talk about it. I didn't mean to ask it as a question. That's my bad. But
Okay.
you were talking about it on an earlier call, and the very short answer is yes, absolutely he does.
100%.
But there's a
100%.
lot to the way the words are put together, depending on, first of all, whether you're talking about Genesis 2 or Genesis 3, because they have completely different composition and origin dates.
Yeah.
And then second, the meaning of the word knowledge is a bit funny in Genesis 2 and 3, I think.
So my just so I understand, are you calling as a, like, it says you're a theist. What kind of theist are you? What God do you believe in? Are you a Christian?
I believe in the Christian God. I just kind of believe a little bit beyond just the this is this, that is that, and it's all perfect. I don't believe in univocality.
Okay.
For instance. So
that's great.
There's a bit more complication to it, in my opinion.
No, that's awesome because oh my God, that makes this call more interesting.
Before we even can we all just agree Genesis didn't happen?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay.
That's not a literal truth. There's so much symbolism in it.
Okay. So what specifically are you calling to talk about then?
Well, I mean, I do agree with you that God lies, but we're talking specifically about how they didn't have knowledge before the tree because the tree was the tree of knowledge. And it's slightly more complicated than that because the Hebrew word, where do I have it? I have it up here somewhere. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at Hebrew. Da'at?
You're fine. You're probably better than me.
Comes from the verb yada, which means to know. And it's more of an experience than actual intellectual knowledge. So what they're getting from the tree isn't necessarily the information. They're getting the experience of having already lived through the information, and that is a step closer to deityism, which the jealous God of chapter 3 wants to prevent.
Okay, does that not conflate? So in my reading, I also have a King James Bible, so it's probably the worst kind of Bible. But like, mine specifically says the knowledge of good and evil. It's specific about that.
Oh,
is that what you're talking about?
It says that is the English translation, but the Hebrew word da'at often refers to know, but the knowledge is often described as a more personal and experiential rather than purely intellectual suggesting an understanding gained through experience.
Conocer instead of ser in Spanish. Got it.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I missed that.
Yeah, cool. Oh, there's just the way that I made sense in my head. In Spanish, there's two words for knowing, and one is ser, which means like to intellectually understand, knows, and the other is conocer, which is like to be familiar with somebody. Like you would say, I know a person, rather than like I intellectually know a person.
Right.
See, I get that. That's not a crazy language tradition. I don't know if it's true about Hebrew. I don't know anything about it. But like, yeah. I worry, like, you waited a long time to call in, and I don't want to waste your time. Like, have you talked to Justin, Deconstruction Zone, about this whole thing? Saber, not ser, pardon me. Ser means to be. Saber means to know. Pardon me. Someone just corrected me in chat. I haven't spoken Spanish in a long time. But yeah, have you talked to Justin from Deconstruction Zone about this?
No.
Okay, because he might be a better, because I'm just a biologist, and I don't know a lot about like the traditional knowledge of the Bible, so I might not be able to help too much with this, unless you just want to have a discussion about it.
Well, that would be fine. I understand that. I'm learning a lot myself as I go.
Okay. I don't know, Jovan, do you have anything you want to throw in? Because I think we just agree, like, this is a weird passage and it means different things.
Well, yeah, the biggest problem is Genesis 2 is a much earlier account of creation. It comes from, I think, about the 8th or 9th century, maybe. And Genesis 3
and Genesis
is
one was
kind of
tacked on to make it a
comes,
monotheistic, all-powerful guy.
Right. And Genesis 3 is post-Babylon, and then it's kind of copying bits from the Epic of Gilgamesh, where nakedness is shameful and it separates them from the animals. It's kind of how Enkidu, is it?
I think so. Something like
loses his innocence. So I feel like it's using it's two different accounts that are trying to come together and just don't come together that well.
I would agree.
I don't know enough about biblical history to have this conversation.
I would agree that is indeed what it looks like. And that's all I've got for you.
No. Well, then we agree, and that was a short conversation.
I feel bad because you waited an hour to talk to us.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying really hard to make this worth your time, yo. But like we do have, Justin Deconstruction Zone is actually a Bible scholar that could talk about this a lot more. And I know, there's a bunch of other people out there that do this shit that could really dig into it. So like, I just, as far as I can tell,
see, I'll call in
that is
there now.
also
I
my
know.
reading. Yeah, definitely. I don't know when he's on next. Let me double check. He's on actually tomorrow on Skeptalk with R and Raw. So if you call in Skeptalk tomorrow. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll look out for that. Well, thank you so much, babe.
Thank you so much, Obel. I appreciate you.
All right. You have a great day.
Bye-bye. You too. They waited so long, and I feel bad, but like they were pleasant about it. And you can't be that nice on this show. I need you to be mean. I don't know how to handle it. That guy's going to claim you don't exist.
Someone in the chat said they made the Back to the Future fan art, and I need to see it. I need to see it immediately.
Send your Back to the Future fan art to hello@valkailabs.com. and I'll take a look at it. Unless you print it out, send it to P.O. Box 1810, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma 74013. We got 2 calls left. We're gonna go with the one who's been waiting the longest, and also the one that I think is great for the show because we really haven't talked about this at all. We're gonna talk about trans people. It's we got Jacob, pronoun she and them, calling in. From
I just think as a group, trans people don't get talked about enough in today's society.
We've been ignoring them for too long. Who asks, why isn't female an exclusionary category? Jacob, you're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. I do want to preface, I'm not trying to be pedantic or an asshole. I'm just stupid.
Okay. You know what? That's my job description.
Jacob,
that's how I start every show.
Jacob, I tell people that I match energies. So when you come in with an energy like that, you get a good callback.
great.
Like that's the yeah, perfect. Let's go.
Man.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've been watching Jovan for a while. Big fan, and I've seen the argument of exclusionary categories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So stop me if I get it wrong at any point, but anyone can be a woman because women can't be an exclusionary category because there can't be a sufficient condition.
So the necessary condition argument is a counter argument. It's not like an argument on its own. It is only to counter biological essentialism. So if somebody goes, women must be female, well, then now they're making the category exclusionary. So now I have to know what their exclusions are. And if their exclusions don't hold, then their argument breaks apart.
My question becomes, I can't be a female. Does that not make it an exclusionary category?
I like to argue that there are sufficient conditions to be female, but I don't think there's going to be a necessary. You can still have an exclusionary category with sufficient conditions, to some degree. You can't have one in the way that transphobes try to use it, right? Like you can't say because you're a man you don't meet this. Like personally, I might not even necessarily have a necessary, like when it comes to female, I just say, it is the sex that typically produces large gametes. But I always use typically because there's always going to be an atypical. We look at sex, and Forrest probably can answer this a little deeper than I can, but we tend to look at sex. There are 5 different, it's gonads, chromosomes, hormones, 4 and 5. There's 2 more that
So
I can't
I would
think
say
of.
you just anatomical sex, phenotypic sex, hormonal sex, gonadal sex, chromosomal sex, genetic sex. There's a lot of different ways you can slice this. And if you're talking about 5 in particular, you're probably referencing Fausto Sterling when she broke it down that way.
Yeah. So I just say we tend to look at like a mixture of these things, and we see that like what the mixture is, and we go from there. So if somebody has like what is Swyer syndrome is when you are a female that can have XY chromosomes, but you still have a uterus, you still give birth, and you still have like a female traditional development in more ways than not. Then I look at it as like, well, now like what do we like? Because of things like this, it makes the category so hard to pinpoint one specific thing. It could be the case that to be female, you just have to have, I don't know. You could be the case that your gender identity has to just align with female. Who knows? But I know that every way transphobes try to put a necessary condition on it, there's a break. Right. I don't know if Forrest has an idea of what he would say is necessary for the category, but I think it might just be the case that we want to look at more sufficient conditions than necessary conditions.
Okay. Yeah, no, the I would say that the important thing to remember, you hit the nail pretty well on the head as far as I wasn't listening too hard because somebody sent me that picture that they made and I'm grumpy about it now. But
I want to see it.
I'm about to show it on the screen. The problem is you said you wanted me as the doctor and you as Marty, right?
Oh, did they do the opposite?
I hate this. I'm sorry to say what they did. Can I get full screen for a second? Give me full screen for a second, please, Luthien. Just put me up there.
I'm not upset at the person who took time out of their day to make fan art for us. Let me just throw that out there.
I am, and I'm going to tell you why. Get up on that full screen. Can I get up on that full screen? Can my screen be full? Can I be up on there in the big wide so I can show this on the thing? Can I put it up on the?
No, you can't.
I don't know if Luthien has the button or not. I'm hoping. Okay, well, let me just see if I can get this at least somewhat in the middle of my screen here.
Wait, at least put it in the chat in the Discord for me real quick.
There we go. You can see it. There. I got it this away. It's just clearly they put this into AI and it doesn't look like either of us, and it's just AI. You cheated. This is a cop-out. Shame on you. That blows. we will take real fan art anytime somebody wants to send it. hello@valkailabs.com. Okay, so we're talking about sex. What we're saying is you've got all these different. The thing about sex is that it's a multivariate system with lots of different individual pieces going into it, and not a single one of those pieces necessarily determines the outcome of the whole system, and not a single one of those pieces has only two options. That's what I'm trying to. It's really important to remember. So what Jovan was saying, that you can have sufficient conditions. That's great. And that would be largely agreed upon. And when you look at my human biology textbooks and genetics textbooks and shit like that, I'd be happy to go pull one out for you where it says females typically have XX chromosomes, although they don't always. Here are these situations. In these situations, we typically just call this person female anyway because it's convenient, and it's very clear that this is a fuzzy category that is made by humans to group people, just like species, right? It's just a fuzzy category that we use for grouping. It doesn't really have there's no big fucking billboard out somewhere in nature that was bared since the beginning that's like sex is this, right? So that's kind of just important to think about it that way. And that doesn't mean that it's worthless, and that doesn't mean that it's completely arbitrary. It just means that it's very, very fuzzy and largely contextual and kind of fluid when you think about it in that way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was the extent of my question.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. Thank you.
As far as
unless you guys wanna hear
gender is
my
concerned,
evidence
gender,
of conspiracy.
I don't know if we covered this or not, but just to be clear, gender can have an exclusionary category, and that is that your gender identity is aligned in this way. That's the exclusionary condition. Whereas what is a man? A man is a person whose gender identity aligns with the cultural, social, behavioral, and or physical characteristics that they associate with masculinity. If their gender identity doesn't do that, then they're not a man. And that's an exclusionary characteristic. When we're talking about female or whatever like that, it's a lot harder to do that, but necessary condition or sufficient conditions, fucking shit, are still things. And so we can say, here's all these things that align in this way, but it's important to say, no matter how we define female or male or whatever, there are going to be exceptions to that we can still rope in there. Intersex is not a third sex. We can still put those people in there, but we have to acknowledge that is a box that we are making on purpose, and we're just naming the lumps. We have a bimodal distribution, and we're naming the lumps. And all the people that fall into that continuum of variation in the middle, we're just kind of cramming them in some boxes for convenience sake, but that doesn't mean that any of that shit is real. That's the key.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was
Sweet.
my question. I have a stupid conspiracy theory I might want your opinion on that is completely unrelated.
Wait, I need to hear that then.
Nothing to talk about. Sorry, what?
No.
I now regret.
Give me the conspiracy theory.
I regret giving out the fan email address. We'll talk about it later. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jacob.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Tell us your conspiracy theory.
Know what the Epstein list is? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They're kind of leaning into it.
What do you think they're leaning into it?
List just...
Yeah, I think they're leaning into it. Rather than having people talk about, oh, they have a alligator Alcatraz. They have, there might be a list, but it's not confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's my conspiracy theory.
I think that the conspiracy theory is the one that just came out of that dude's mouth. What was he? Some intelligence person. I don't remember what his actual job was. He's in the DOJ, wasn't he? I don't know. But there's that leaked video that just came out where somebody on a Hinge date. You'll know what I'm talking about when I say the story, because I don't remember the guy's name or his position. I just remember that he was on a Hinge date, and the person filmed him, and he was so fucking desperate to get laid that he was dropping all sorts of secrets. And he said out loud, yeah, of course they're going to release the Epstein list. We just have to redact all the Republican names from it. We're going to remove Donald Trump and every other Republican, and we're going to make sure all the liberal Democrats are implicated. That's what we're waiting for. And that's the dude just said it out loud because he wanted to get his dick wet. Shit's crazy. Anyway, with that, Jacob, we're going to jump on to the last call of the night. Thank you so much.
Do. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I regret giving out my fan email address. Hello at Valkai Labs is the email address that I give out to people when they want us to send me a thing, because it's just the safe fan address. It's where, but when you use the contact box on my website, that's where it sends the email to. And whenever I have like just a situation like that, I can just like, hey, send the fan art there. And immediately after that, I got another email that just says, I think you're incredibly fucking hot. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm married. I'm married. And we have in the chat, if you were to compliment my appearance in the chat that way, you would have had your chat muted. And so don't go around the mods to email me directly to try to flatter me in a way that nobody wants. I'm not fucking you. Keep that in your brain. Nobody needs that. Anyway, ugh.
Yeah, because y'all wouldn't do that to a femme presenting host.
That is true.
Seems
you gonna
seems a
fucking
little
get on
weird
Promise's email and be like, "Hey, you're so hot." Like, no, you wouldn't. That would be rude as fuck. Just blah.
Like, I might do that to Jimmy, but that would be the only person.
Yes. I'm gonna. We've got one left, and this person is named Jimmy, but it's not that Jimmy, because this Jimmy has an IE and is from Miserable Octagons.
You know, it took me way too long to realize what you were doing.
What was I doing?
With the names of the states, it took me way too long to pick up on that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Okay, I get it. It's the bit. Got it.
We've got Jimmy calling in from Menstruating Okapis, who says that he wants to discuss the concept of God and why. Jimmy, you're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. You're our last caller of the night. I hope you're doing good.
Man, I'm doing fantastic. First of all, I got to say this. I've been watching stuff like this online since Matt Dillahunty and the other guy who quit earlier was doing Atheist Experience. And to see you young guys come on and to pick up and actually progress things in a positive way, I got to give props to you guys. I'm an older guy. I'm 57. And so I just got to give my props and my respect to you young guys who are actually doing the damn thing. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I'm 43 and I'm doing my best. It was a DOJ official. Yes, that I was talking about.
Wait, are you really 43? Hold on. Wait, no, are you really 43? Oh my god, bro! I'm usually like black don't crack, but I was about to be like, god damn, motherfucking taking that Paul Rudd serum or some shit over here.
Exactly.
Paul Rudd serum. Joseph Schnitt, acting deputy chief of the Department of Enforcement Operations at the DOJ, was on a hinge date and told his hinge date that they're going to redact the Epstein files to remove every Republican name from it and make sure they leave the Democrats in. That's what happened.
Yeah, the guy's a clown. The guy's a clown.
Yeah, he is. I'm sorry. That was just what we were talking about earlier. Go on.
Yeah.
With your kind.
All right, anyway, so what I wanted to talk about was the fact that while I do appreciate people having these discussions, at least
I'm sorry to interrupt you so immediately.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is there any way you can back up from the phone just a little bit? Like every call today, I feel like everybody's been so loud. Just slightly back up from the phone.
I'm using my Bluetooth, so I don't know how to fix that.
No.
Here, hold on. I can fix it.
Turn the Bluetooth off. Turn the Bluetooth off.
I'm gonna turn the Bluetooth off.
I can't do it for another. I can't do it for another call. I'm so sorry.
I don't want to inconvenience my man here. So let me see. I keep that, and we're gonna switch back to. Is that better, bro?
That's so much better. Like you have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like night and day.
I got you, bro. You've been, like you said, you've been streaming since 2. I'm not gonna make it harder for you, young man. But anyway, so I watched the people talk, and when we talk about God or gods in particular, and they always come from a point of view of assuming that God, when they have the discussion, at least they come from the position of God actually being evil or being good, instead of, from my point of view, okay, as a person who grew up in the church but never believed. So I never actually had to go through deconstruction per se. I just always thought it was BS, but I didn't know why, because as a child, you don't understand. So when you get older, you figure these things out and you slowly, gradually understand, oh, this is bullcrap. And when I read the Bible again for the second time, this way all the way through, it took me several months, of course, but I did it again before I even got out of Genesis, which I found was pretty funny. You guys are talking about Genesis 1 and 2, which is totally fiction. But when before I even got out of that, I realized that this is bullshit, 100% bullshit. But don't get me wrong. Although I am an anti-theist and an atheist, believe it or not, my significant partner of almost 11 years is a Catholic. As a matter of fact, she just got home from her Bible study. The reason why we get along so well is because she respects the fact that I'm an atheist, and I respect the fact that she grew up the way she did, and we never have any disagreements when it comes to religion. We have disagreements about other stuff, what regular couples have problems with is money, making a decision about going there or doing this, what to eat, who's supposed to clean what, that regular type of stuff that's really kind of petty. We never have any serious disagreements or arguments about religion because we're both above that, right? But my point is to say that I always come from a point of assuming that gods don't exist. And so the conversation about whether God meant this or that, I always look at it as God didn't mean anything. It's the person who wrote this bullshit that meant shit. You know what I'm saying? So when I
have the conversations, I come from it for two ways. Like, first and foremost, I agree. I don't believe God exists. I just don't.
Right.
However, I do think the conversation around, if he does, what does all the shitty shit he's done mean, is more interesting. Right. So, like, if I'm gonna have the conversation, if it makes me seem like a fucking Reddit atheist at this point, I don't really care. But like, if I'm gonna have the conversation to me about what type of being God really is, if he was real, is so much more interesting. Because to me, the other conversation is, well, is God real or not? And then I hear the other person go, well, yes, because gives an argument that literally doesn't prove the existence of God. So it's just like, I'm just like, okay, well, now I'm bored, right? Whereas instead,
I totally get you.
Operating under the assumption that he is, and if you do like me and you operate under the assumption that he's a soul thief, right? Then it becomes even more interesting. So I just find it more entertaining. I also just think because of the way Christianity is and because of the way Christians tend to be, I think sometimes they need to be knocked down a peg and just admit to me that their dude is evil as shit. And then
I totally agree with you 100%. Because a lot of times I'll sit here and think about, if I was actually doing a call-in show, because I do have a podcast myself, but it's just me talking. But if I had a call-in show, I have to admit that if I did it the way that I contextually look at it, it would be a very short show because it would be just me telling people to prove that their God exists in the first place before we have a conversation. And you're right, that would be very disinteresting and it'd be very boring and it'd be very short. And I do get that.
And I think there are people like you have Forrest, you have Matt, you have all these people that can have that conversation, especially on the more like theoretical level, the universe and shit like that. I ain't got the time. I ain't got the time to also learn that shit too, along with everything else. So for me, I'm just like, I like taking it as like, can you present a compelling argument? The answer is always no. So then let's just talk about the next thing that's more interesting, which tell me what God you believe in, and let's talk about why he's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I totally get that. And it's like, when we have those discussions and when we actually have it in that way, we actually get to the root of why this person, perhaps why they believe that in the first place. And actually, a lot of times we get a look into their psyche about who they are as a person, because I truly believe, because like, for instance, Opal English, who called in, she's a theist, but I love her. And the reason why is because she sounds like a very genuine person. And when I judge people, I don't
just
care
really
what
quickly,
they believe.
Jimmy, Opal's pronouns were they. Just
Oh, sorry. Was it she, they,
No
or
worries.
just they, them?
They, them.
They, them.
Okay, so
There's no worries. It happens. We're just going fixing it.
they were a lovely human being because I judge people by their behavior. I don't care what they believe. I just don't care. It's none of my business. That's the main reason why, because it's none of my damn business. I don't care. I don't care what your gender thing is. I don't care. It's not my business.
I think sometimes we can do that. I think a lot of the times for me anyway, when I'm looking at, sure, but oftentimes what a person believes will tell you a lot about that person, you know?
Right.
So for example, I'm not going to judge you just because on the forefront you tell me you're a Christian. You just say, hey, I'm a Christian. I don't judge you. But if you tell me I'm a Christian who believes 100% that everything in the Bible is true and I don't like gay people and I don't like trans people and abortion is evil, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm judging you and the people you hang out with a lot more differently.
Right. That is being more specific. Correct. But what I was getting at is that their behavior, and part of your behavior, believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand this, is not only what you do, but what you say. And so, like you just said, when somebody tells you they believe everything the Bible says, they don't like gay people, they don't like trans people, that's a problem. Because now you're going to make decisions on your life based on your hatred towards these people who actually have never done anything to you in the first place. Right?
Yeah, but the problem is they base that hatred off their off of their religious beliefs.
Right. And then we can go into that. But before they let me know that, I can't judge them before I actually know that they actually feel that way. You know what I mean? I don't like to jump the gun because sometimes I get surprised, pleasantly surprised. Sometimes it goes the other way. But I like to give people, I'm the kind of person that loves to give people enough rope to hang themselves. I just do that. And because I come from a point where I don't really care what people think about me, because most of the time the people who think negatively about me never spent the time to meet me as an individual. Right? So as a black man, I really appreciate being looked at as an individual instead of being judged because my skin happens to be brown. That's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I don't care what anyone looks like or anything like that. And when we talk about God, it's like I'm assuming that, this entity exists when it's like when people go, can you prove that God doesn't exist? I'm like, well, that's mental. You can't come from that standpoint because that means that anyone can make up anything they want, and then you have to say, well, can you prove that what I just made up isn't true? I'm like, going, what?
I might make some people mad in the chat for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's my truth and I'm living it. I treat Christians in sort of the same way I treat white people, which is my immediate reaction to you is a level of distrust until you prove to me that you're not a member of the oppressive force. So
That's so fair.
So fair. That's fair.
So
that's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Sorry. It's the same way that I think like most women should treat men. You should be weary around us until you are proven that we are safe people to be around.
Until I prove that I'm better than a bear, choose the bear. I totally get it. I'm not your typical Generation X person. I am totally sensitive to other people's feelings and everything, and I am open to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any prejudice. I try very hard to evolve every single day. And when I saw you, I would assume that you're black, Jovan. I don't want to assume anything. That's why I'm asking. Are you African American or?
No, I'm black.
Okay, you're black.
You've never been to Africa.
So, exactly. Thank you. Do we call white Americans European American? No, they're white, right? So I feel
we should, and I do,
so,
and it's fun.
We should. You're absolutely right. We should, because especially now, especially with the evangelicals. I'm not going to get talking on MAGA because I'll talk for an hour and this is the end of your show, and I don't want to keep you guys because I noticed Jovan was eating early. I know he's hungry, so I'm not trying to be that guy.
Yeah, but, I had one hot dog bun. Wait. First of all, I had besides these shortbread cookies that I've been snacking on, but I had one hot dog bun with some peanut butter on it that people in the chat were like, you're eating just a peanut butter sandwich? Y'all ain't never heard of just a peanut butter sandwich? Whatever. Forrest got a whole meal, and now I'm over here salivating. I don't even like sushi, but that's how hungry I am. I'm like, oh, I need to get an actual meal at 11 o'clock at night.
But yeah, I follow you on Instagram a lot, Jovan, and you're pretty new to me. It's only been like maybe a few months since I found out who you were. I said, "Who's the brother with the cat ears?" Okay, let me check out and see what he's talking about. And I watched your show, and it's just me laughing my ass off and listening to all these people call in who have no friggin' idea what the hell they're talking about. Like Bert and Wayne earlier today on the show. Those two clowns. I'm like, come on, guys.
I can't wait for those clips, bro.
I was laughing my ass off, really. I was like, oh my God. I just don't understand why somebody would have an opinion about something but know so little about the particular subject. How can you have an opinion when you don't have any significant knowledge about what you're talking about? It's ridiculous.
Because we live in a post-information society. So you don't need to have information to have an opinion. The worst thing that's ever happened to research is people who say the phrase all opinions matter or all opinions are valid or you're not wrong, that's just your opinion. No. Shut up.
Opinions can be wrong.
Because no, they don't. No, they don't. And yes, you are.
Yeah. Because like me, for instance, I work in sales and that's what I do. I should be left out of the physicist conversation because I don't have a degree and I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? So
you ever notice when someone calls in and starts talking to Forrest about like really concrete biological shit, I shut up because I don't know about it. So I'm not going to interrupt. Like I'm
Absolutely.
That's why I shut up whenever you talk about how to deal with white people. That's exactly why.
So when you were talking about earlier, when Forrest was giving his definition about what a woman is, I was listening because there's a lot that I'm still learning. You know, I don't know everything. I'm just respectful of human beings, but there's a lot that I'm learning, and I'm trying to, catch up to the little bit of things that I'm, don't understand about. So I really appreciate you guys telling me about stuff that I don't understand. You know what I mean?
Got you, Jimmy. I do gotta give you 60 more seconds because I'm on the edge of glory, and
no problem. Again, I appreciate you guys both. I appreciate the show. This is my first time calling into a show ever online. And like I said, I do my own little podcast on my channel, so it's not even big. I think I have at the most 2 people listening at a time, so it's really small. But I do my thing.
You're good there.
So, but I appreciate you guys a lot. You guys entertain me, and you guys have a good rest of your weekend, whatever's left of it. And I'll keep watching you guys and keep listening.
You too, my dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
I love when you said that you assume, you're kind of cautious around white people until they prove that they're cool. And the chat, I said fair, and then the chat was loaded with people. That's fair. That's fair. Yes.
I think it's the way most people. I think it's the same. Trans people should be weary around all cisgender people until they are proven that the person that they're around is trustworthy. I can't tell you the amount of white friends I've had that have done some white supremacist shit, and then I stopped being friends with them. Yeah. So you got to start. Unfortunately, you got to start from a level of I won't say distrust, a level of caution. And you just, not some people, you give an inch, they take a mile,
You know what's funny is that is actually, and I'm not just saying this to be funny, that is also how I deal with white people. It's to say, because I live in Oklahoma, and like so many people, like they're just racist assholes, see me and think that I'm on their team, and they'll come up to me and they'll say some racist shit, and they'll do it like all sneaky, and I'm just like, fuck you. Why did you assume that I would be down with you? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'll be friends with somebody and it'll be all cool, and then they pull out their wallet and they've got a fucking Confederate flag wallet and shit. And we have to have the heritage versus hate conversation. I'm like, heritage of what, motherfucker? Like, what? You know what I mean? And we have to do that whole song and dance. And then they get all upset that I'm a traitor. And it's like, no, I think. The problem is that I think, And it's frustrating.
That's where we are.
You don't understand the struggle of being white. It's hard. You don't understand how hard it is. But I appreciate you hearing me out.
Our struggle.
One of my favorite things to do. It's a stupid joke, but I get to do it because I'm a grandpa at heart. It's like anytime somebody tells me that I'm white, if they like remind me, I'll just kind of look at them like they're crazy, and I'll look down at my hands like, it's so much fun. It's so good. Oh man.
Where?
I think what's great about today's show, we talked about trans people a lot, and we talked about abortion, and it was all cisgender dudes talking about it. And I think that really is what sets this show apart as someone who's really breaking good ground and making the world a better place.
Nothing better than two cis men describing gender and sex to the masses.
Yep. That's what we're here for. I want
at least one of us is part of a marginalized community.
Well, I mean, you don't know what I am, but
true. But at least one. Let me say, at least one of us isn't present. No, you're right. You know, I'm the not woke one. You got me.
But at the end of the competition of wokeness, you're making assumptions about me. I'm a white cisgender heterosexual man living in middle America with a decent income and a large platform. I am the one who's oppressed, and really, at the end of the day, it's me who has to be the most careful because cancel culture, Jovan. That's what it is. That's what you don't understand.
Sapphic said, "I think we need more men in the abortion conversation.
If anything, it's time that our voices were heard because we've been silenced for too long." It's sexist to say no uterus, no opinion. That's really what it is. It's just sexist. Fucking, oh man. Biologist is a minority, says Princess Coco, and that's great. Yeah, no, you're right.
Wrap up. I need to eat.
Yeah, I'm going to continue eating this entire sushi platter slowly in front of Jovan off camera. Thanks so much for everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our call screeners for taking our calls and making sure they're not too crazy. Thank you to Luthien, our producer for tonight. Thank you to our mods in chat for making sure the chat wasn't terrible. Thank you to the people in chat, even the ones that suck. Thank you to our callers, even the ones that suck. Thank you to Jovan for co-hosting with me today. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day and never stop learning. Good night.